There were no first downs. Um, a game that a lot of people, even if you are fans of the Chargers and Broncos, were rooting for that game not to go to overtime.
Yes.
But I think something came of last night's game.
What's that?
With all the bad football and unders are crushing it this year in the NFL,
Mhm.
is we have officially broken Russell Wilson. It's not the hamstring that apparently is bothering him. It is not the I can't see an open wide receiver right in front of me on 3rd down and 2. I cannot run plays when we get off script. It is the fact that after the game last night, where just a reminder to Bronco fans out there, and I feel your pain. Actually, I don't, but I understand why you don't want to root for your team anymore.
I was going to say, Patrick Mahomes is your quarterback. You really don't feel their pain.
I watched that game last night, and all of a sudden I feel really good about the AFC West. Okay. I feel good about my coach, who's got some issues with game management, but nothing on the level of those two last night. Is you paid $245 million for a quarterback who has started 6 games and has thrown 5 touchdown passes, but we have broken him. We have absolutely broken him. You know why, Ravi?
Why is that?
He did not say at the end of his little media session last night, let's ride.
Broncos country. Let's ride.
He done.
Listen, you broke a spirit. We've been too mean to him. We've made fun of him too much. He's been too bad. He can't do it anymore.
Which is $245 million. And it's not like you're going to release him tomorrow.
It's only $50 million per touchdown so far. Not bad. That's a good deal.
I mean, it's not only Russell Wilson might be broken, is that offense is broken. I mean, they're not scoring any points. I mean, the Bronco defense is really good. But that offense, I mean, Russell Wilson might get beat up and shoved in a locker from Jerry Jeudy and Melvin Gordon. It is the wrong combination to have a $245 million man that is struggling with a brand new head coach who is so over his head.
Oh, he's drowning.
And he's an offensive guru. And the worst part of your organization is that offense.
Yeah, if we know anything around here, it's that if you hire a guru head coach on one side of the ball, they better be good on that side of the ball. That will get you fired faster than just about anything. And I will say the Broncos are in the exact same spot they were before Russell Wilson. They just now owe their quarterback who can't score points $250 million instead of owing their quarterback whatever they owe Drew Lock.
Yeah.
But they're in the exact same position. This is the exact problem they were trying to solve, and it is the exact same problem they still have. Now, I don't know if they just didn't watch Russell Wilson the last couple years, or if they talked themselves into, because people do that, right?
Yeah.
They talk themselves into, oh, he's in a bad spot. The team around him is declining. We can fix him. Isn't that the most common phrase in sports in general?
Yeah.
We can fix him.
Yeah.
Our culture's good enough. Our coach is good enough. We can fix him. Guess what? You probably can't. The most common thing is we can fix him, but you really can't. We see that all the time. That's why it's a miracle. And I know we're going to talk NBA later. That's why I got my Warriors hat on today. So it's a miracle when like the Andrew Wiggins in Golden State thing happens because they actually did fix him. And you're like, wait, that actually happens sometimes? The problem is now every other team in the league, whether it's the NFL, NBA, wherever, is going to look at a situation like that and be like, no, see, they fixed Andrew Wiggins. It's like, yes, that is the exception that proves the rule. Russell Wilson was broken when he got there. His spirit maybe not was, but his game certainly was. Finally, last night, we broke his spirit so we don't have to hear that Broncos country, let's ride anymore.
I mean, their offensive line is broken. The play that, I mean, he's making, we talked about this when they lost to the Colts in primetime. He's making decisions that are rookie decisions, not a guy that is a Super Bowl champion and has played a lot of NFL football. Like last night on the 3rd down and 2, he has Dolchich wide open in front of him. And I don't know where he was looking because there was nobody around a wide open wide receiver. Instead, he got sacked. And, I mean, okay, so the hamstring is something when you take away the mobility of Russell Wilson, whatever mobility he has at this age of his career, is that second half last night. I mean, the overtime and the second half, he had 3 completions and was sacked 3 times.
Yeah.
The numbers are startling of what happened in the second half. He was 3 of 11 for 15 yards passing and no touchdowns. He is not even close to the same quarterback even a few years ago. It's amazing what's happened to Russell Wilson, and I don't want to say he's broken, washed, whatever, but to make that investment, what Denver did, but to pair him with that head coach and that offensive line, man, you knew what you were getting. Their offense last night in one series looked like the Vic Fangio Drew Lock. Run, third down and 1, let's throw a 50-50 ball. I mean, they basically on offense look exactly the same. And I can see why defensive guys are like, man, I got to bite my tongue. Because defensively, Denver is good enough to be one of the better teams in the AFC West. But they got an offense that is not even close to helping them.
Yeah, that's a Super Bowl contending defense, right? I mean, I think that's fair to say. But I don't even know. Washed isn't the right term for Russell Wilson, but he's regressed. Right. So he peaked probably 3 or 4 years ago in terms of his skill set. But then the talent, he started to regress a little bit. The coaching, I think, in Seattle and kind of the way Pete Carroll insulated him a little bit, protected us from seeing this version of Russell Wilson. I think it's been just beneath the surface for the last couple of years. And people that I like and listen to on the NFL thought that when they traded for him. Now, they didn't think he was going to be this. Nobody thought he was going to be this, right? But there was, in certain circles, some hesitation of maybe he's not your $250 million guy. I'm just going to go and round up the extra $5 million. But I don't know that anybody could have anticipated it being, worse than Drew Lock. They quite possibly, I'm trying to think of other teams here. Like, do they have the worst quarterback play in the league right now?
There's a guy that played on Thursday night. There's 2 teams that played on Thursday night that would be in the conversation.
But they're in the conversation, right?
Yeah.
And by far, they're paying the most for it. Not even close. Usually when you have quarterback play this bad, it's, this was a stopgap thing. We're trying to get to a draft pick, or our guy went down and got hurt. This is the guy they wanted and paid an exorbitant price, not only in actual money, but in draft capital, to have the privilege of watching do this and complete 3 passes in a second half. It's kind of an unprecedentedly bad situation for Denver.
You can tell that he's in trouble because when they're on script to begin the game, he was okay last night. He started out hot. He was making passes outside the numbers. And I'm thinking, okay, maybe 11 days off, they had time to prepare for the Chargers. Mm-hmm. They had a good game plan. Maybe he's healthy. And then once they got away from all the scripted plays, then he really turned into trouble. But to have that kind of an offensive performance in terms of game planning, when you had 11 days off to prepare for a defense that is not good.
No.
They are not good. That's bad for the Broncos. They're in a bad spot, and I think they have a head coach that has to be a one and done. They made a hire to get Aaron Rodgers. He didn't bring Aaron Rodgers with him. They went out and they got Russell Wilson, and Russell Wilson forgot to bring Russell Wilson with him. And Nathaniel Hackett is going to be a one and done guy because their offense is basically basic stuff. It's nothing fancy, and they can't execute it.
Here's my question: does he?
I sound like a passionate Bronco fan. I should be crushing the Broncos.
You should be thrilled.
But when I'm getting texts from Bronco friends that like I can't watch this anymore, I'm like, oh man, I hate the Broncos, but I kind of feel for you. And you're going to be the fans that aren't going to show up at Mile High Stadium when the Broncos play at home again.
Here's my question: does Hackett actually make it through the season?
Yeah, they'll let him probably go through the season and see what happens.
Okay.
I don't think they would get rid of him this early, but he's got to. Whatever is going on with his relationship with his quarterback, you can't have. This is a pure sign of your culture and your locker room. When you have 2 guys that openly on the sidelines, you can tell that they're talking about how bad the offense is and how frustrated they are. So Russell Wilson's press conference after the game last night and no, let's ride. You're like, man, that guy's in a world of hurt. Listen to Melvin Gordon.
Oh, yeah.
Who carried the ball 3 times for 8 yards in the first quarter last night and then nada.
Yeah.
There's a guy that he's about ready to blow up. You already know that Jerry Jeudy, you saw the reaction in the Colts game. What was it, Hamler or Jeudy that slammed their helmet
Hamler,
down?
yeah.
Okay. So that's not a good sign if you're running that organization as the head coach, that you have a locker room that is combustible I mean, thank God the Broncos don't play on primetime again until what, week 14 against the Chiefs?
That's a blessing
Because America doesn't need that.
it seemed like we were seeing them every week on primetime. I
Yes.
get that it was only like twice in a row, but it felt like too much already. The thing that I took away going back to the Hamler thing last week was, and even to the Melvin Gordon thing this week, this level of frustration isn't caused by an isolated incident. Like when Hamler slams his helmet down, I get it's to win or lose the game, right? So there's a level of frustration there. But when I saw that, the first thing I thought was, this is something that happens to him all the time, whether it's in games or in practice or whatever, is that you get that level of mad because when you trust your quarterback to more often or not hit you when he's supposed to, when you're open, then there's like maybe a hands on the head. You get the surrender cobra. You're like maybe the hands in the air, like, oh, I can't believe that. That level of anger and frustration is Russell Wilson misses him on that throw or similar throws almost every day in practice. That's what I saw. And kind of the same thing with Melvin Gordon is like, this is the same stuff we see every day. That's how you reach that level of disgust with your quarterback and probably your head coach too, if we're being honest, is that this is not something that's like, oh, we're seeing a good version of this in practice and it just isn't translating into games right now. This is off the rails. There's nothing going right here at all.
But it's all part of bad football in the NFL. And the quarterback play, again, if you watch the Bills and the Chiefs, you get spoiled.
Yeah.
And some of the other better quarterbacks in the NFL right now. But there's some bad football. Tom Brady was absolutely right. But I think it's also, there's bad coaches when it comes to game and time management in the NFL right now. And there were two guys that were trying to match each other last night. One is further along in his head coaching career, where I think this is maybe the day where I start wondering if the Chargers are ever going to be good, because I buy into it and I see how long it can take me. And I bought into it this year because I have the Bills and the Chargers in the AFC Championship game. Man, how wrong was I with one of those teams? Because the Chargers always tease you and you're like, how good are they?
Yeah.
Now they're on a little bit of a win streak, but again, look at them last night. They asked a quarterback who is beat up to throw the ball 57 times and he never completed a touchdown pass. But you have Staley and Hackett, who, in terms of managing like downs, clock, man, that's an epidemic in the NFL, and it's been a problem in football that when you get one of those coaches that has a great handle on in-game decisions on how to run a clock and not allow the other team to have time to move down the field, I mean, can master that, that is a blessing, because those two coaches last night and other coaches in the NFL right now, when they don't do that well, that's why we have bad football. I mean, we still watch.
Yeah.
But as I always say, I'm sad when I see bad football in the NFL. In college football, I'll watch because it's like a train wreck.
Yeah.
And I can't look away. But in the NFL, I'm like, why does it have to be this way? And last night we got another prime example of it's this way, and we got a horror show that was won by a kicker on a bad leg.
One of the things that you brought up with the coaches, I think part of the problem is where they don't learn these in-game decisions, time management, things like that, is some of these guys are rising through their coaching ranks so fast. And they are so focused on the thing that kind of gets them to where they want to go, whether it's offensive play calling, defensive design, whatever, that's all they know how to do. And you get in this situation where it's like, yeah, Hackett might be a great offensive mind, right? He might be an incredible play caller. He doesn't know how to do anything else, which is a problem, because as a head football coach in the NFL, you have a lot of other things to do.
Yep.
And it's really frustrating because as you mentioned, it turns into really unwatchable football. But B, you have teams that otherwise might be good just completely fall flat on their face on a pretty regular basis. And I don't know how to fix it. I mean, you're not going to not give up and coming guys jobs just because you're like, oh, I think they need more seasoning, because then somebody else will just hire them. But I think that's exactly the root of this problem, is guys just aren't learning full skill sets. They're just learning, hey, this is how I get to the top. I'm going to Sean McVay this thing into a Super Bowl or whatever. And guess what? Sean McVay is special. There's not a lot of Sean McVays. You can't necessarily bottle that and repeat it, because most of you are not learning the skill sets that he apparently either had innately or learned along the way that you didn't realize. And it's a horrible product to watch.
And it's a skill set that I think there's a lot of those times with coaches, you either have it or you don't, and you don't acquire it. I mean, what do we talk about Mickey as he's learning on the fly to be a head coach is timeout management, some of the game management, clock management. I've been a firm believer that if you have it, you have it. If you don't, you're always going to struggle with that. And even having somebody next to you, because remember, Denver didn't have as much as the clock management problem last night that Los Angeles had. But Hackett, they had to hire a guy to help him.
Yeah, they had to hire a coach for their coach. Well, and Andy Reid's a great example, right? He has struggled at certain points through his career with clock management, some timeout management, things like that. He's good enough at everything else that it doesn't totally matter, but you still see it even to this day. I don't think it's something he's like, oh, I don't need to worry about it. He's probably worked on it, but like you said, it's kind of something you either have or don't. And in the moment, it's really hard to get yourself to make the right decision if it's not your natural instinct. And Andy Reid's a good enough coach in every other area to overcome it. But, it's possible that most people aren't. And Andy Reid is one of the better coaches we've seen in this generation. Most of these guys that lack that skill set are not what Andy Reid is.
All right, that's Robbie. He is the friend of the day once again. So welcome into 1620 The Zone Mornings. It's frigid outside. I'm just going to tell you, if you got to take the pet outside or you're headed outside, we set a record low. If you're going to get cold this time of the year, why not set a record low?
I mean, I'd prefer never to set record lows.
Well, if you're going to be close, might as well set the record. Like if the record is 110 degrees, why not get to 110? Why come up short at 108? Go for 110. If the record low is 20 and it was 50 years ago, why not get down to 20? And then quickly go back up.
I'll say very quickly. If it wants to happen while I'm sleeping, that's fine. I was not sleeping while it was record low. I was out letting the dogs out. So
this is going to be a wake-up call for our pets this morning.
Yes. My dogs came back inside very quickly. They were like, no, we are not about this life.
All right, coming up a little bit later, it is a bye week for Nebraska as they get ready for Illinois, which is a 2:30 kick on either ABC or ESPN. The Rooferees at John Higgins Weather Guard bring you our lineup. Sam McEwen will stop by at 7:30. Brian Christopherson at 9, and then Andy Kendi at 9:45. So we'll talk some football and we'll talk some basketball because the preseason poll came out yesterday, and Creighton, the highest they've ever been in the preseason, number 9. They were number 11 in 2020. But number 9, I don't think it's a surprise.
No, I think it's about right.
I think people anticipated it.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be 7, but it's right in that neighborhood.
I disagree with who's number 1, but I get it. They returned 4 starters in North Carolina, but they would not be my number 1.
No, I think they're overvaluing and listen, they had a great run in March. They were not that good throughout the season. And so returning 4 starters to that team, I look at it and say, I understand what they did in March, but they're probably not the best team in the country.
They played the smartest basketball in the month of March. And so I know why, the runner-up to KU, you're number 1. But I would have put Kentucky. Kentucky is my preseason number 1. It is also Big East Media Day in New York City, where it'll be very busy because Game 5 of the ALDS was rained out. So they will play this afternoon, and the NLCS is tonight. And also, the NBA is back. What actually is back is inside the NBA.
Yes.
That's the biggest thing today for me, is that the inside the NBA crew, which has all been re-upped.
I'll say they all got extended. Yeah.
Is back ahead of Boston, Philadelphia, and Anthony Davis against your Golden State Warriors.
Yeah, you're just ignoring LeBron. You're not.
I don't think in the NBA this year there is a more fork in the road player than Anthony Davis.
Oh, I think that's definitely
for a team that may not make the playoffs.
Oh, I don't think there's any chance they make the playoffs. That's not even my hot take for later. I don't think the Lakers are a playoff team. 3 through 15, they're the worst team in the league. Their roster after LeBron and AD is dreadful. Look like they're tanking for Wembanyama. Dreadful. And then we have no idea what you're getting out of AD. I don't think, and the West is good. That's not a playoff team.
No, and they'll play tonight. So they'll raise the banner in San Francisco ahead of that. So that's why Ravi is decked out in his Golden State Warrior hat.
That's right. Gotta represent.
Did you buy anything new after they won the title last June?
When it's the 4th one, you don't really have to.
Hello. Before 6:30? Before 6:30, you go there?
You just set me up. You just lofted it up there for me.
Wow. Okay. All right. All we'll have what we think is going to happen in the NBA as we roll till 10. Glad to have you in. You can always join the conversation. We'll get into some Nebraska football talk. Trey Palmer getting a lot of love. Mid-season All Big Ten.
Nice.
Anybody going to disagree? No, I don't think they have that poll, but I'm saying he would be mid-season
Oh,
All Big Ten.
without a doubt.
But
yeah.
how does he become All Big Ten at the end of the year in his one-and-done year at Nebraska?
I think Nebraska needs to win more than 4 games.
All right, we will discuss.
Yeah.
You can discuss with us. Also, I mean, Bronco fans, I don't want to crush them because they are 3.5-point favorite against the Jets on Sunday.
Oh, the Jets are winning that game.
3.5-point favorite are the Broncos.
Would the Broncos trade Russell Wilson for Zach Wilson right now?
Let's fade. 951-1620. That gets you in on the Les Hills Harley-Davidson hotline or in the Equitable Bank inbox where they take banking personally. Gary at 1620thezone.com or on the J-Tech Construction Zone Twitter feed at Gary Sharp 1620.
At R.A. Lula. That's all.
I know. I was waiting like you were going to, like PA voice it.
At R.A. Lula.
It is 1620 The Zone mornings.
Mornings on 1620 The Zone is brought to you by MD West One Orthopedics, Neurosurgery, and Spine. Irrational confidence.
I've said this all along. You're going to be able to convince me that a lot of these things that could end up happening are going to work. I don't think it's... Now, this is probably it doesn't give enough credit to the people who do it. I just don't think it's that hard.
Wow. Not that hard, huh?
That they haven't been doing.
He's got those 47 games.
Damon, I told you to not take offense to this. Just do the fundamental things, and then we'll see where this lands.
The Connor Happer Show, weekdays from 10 to 2 on 1620 The Zone. Your Omaha area forecast, presented by Bellevue Berry and Pumpkin Ranch, from the KETV Newswatch 7 Weather Center on 1620 The Zone.
The bright sunny skies will continue throughout your Tuesday, along with the unseasonably chilly temperatures. In Omaha, I'm tracking a high temperature of only 42 degrees. You add on a northwest wind, it could feel like the mid-30s through most of the day. For tonight, another cold one, clear skies, calm wind, an overnight low temperature of 19 degrees. I'm meteorologist Anthony Copeland for KETV News Watch 7.
1620 The Zone. Traffic.
From the Burton AC Heating, Plumbing, and More Time-Saving Traffic Center. We have no accidents to report at this time, but you can expect a little bit of slowdown near 108th and L. Then northbound along the JFK, be prepared for just a little bit of slowdown near Chandler Road. And other than that, it looks like your commute this morning should be pretty smooth, even if you're running a bit late. As always, remember to stay safe and wear your seatbelts. I'm Chris Scott. This time-saving traffic was brought to you by Burton AC Heating, Plumbing, and More.
Hi, I'm Mark Evans, owner of Burton AC Heating, Plumbing, and More. Join us in supporting Food Bank for the Heartland. Right now, if you donate 5 cans of food, you can get a furnace safety inspection and cleaning for only $55. Request service at justcallburton.com.
Dropkick Murphys, Acoustic, This Machine Theater Tour, November 2nd at Holland Center. Special guests, Jamie Wyatt and Jesse Ahern. Tickets at ticketomaha.com. Presented by Omaha Performing Arts and Mammoth Live.
Tip off the NBA season with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. New customers get $150 in free bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. All you have to do is use promo code HAPPER at signup. Here's another kicker. All customers get 3 months of NBA League Pass when they make a $5 bet on the NBA, courtesy of FanDuel. That's a pretty good deal. Then you could watch all the action as you bet on anything and everything, from the money line to the point spreads to the totals to season-long props. Take the Denver Nuggets to win the West. Best of all, you get your winnings paid instantly. Don't miss your chance to get $150 in free bets plus 3 months of League Pass with promo code HAPPER. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NBA. 21 plus and present in Iowa. New customers, first online real money wager only. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable free bets that expire in 14 days. Existing customers, $5 NBA wager required. Limit 1 pass per customer across both offers. Restrictions apply. Void where prohibited. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-BETS-OFF. NBA League Pass. Total blackout restrictions apply.
If you are looking for a better college fit or have completed a 2-year degree at a community college, transfer those credits to College of St. Mary and finish your degree faster. We've made transferring easier than ever. With our 2-week transfer evaluation, you'll know your credit transferability and financial aid package to College of St. Mary in just 2 weeks. And we'll help you determine all scholarships or grants available to you. Take the next step to completing your degree faster. Transfer to College of St. Mary. Apply today at csm.edu.
MD West One's team of neurosurgical spine specialists is the largest and most advanced in the greater Omaha metro. MD West One has been voted the #1 private practice and #1 in neurosurgery and spine by Best of Omaha year after year. They can help if you're suffering from recurring neck and back pain, weakness or numbness in your extremities, sciatica pain, or any other recurring issue stemming from your neck or back. Go to mdwest1.com to meet the spine team at MD West One.
Save up to 50% during 42 Degrees Pipes and Vaporizer sale, and it's going on right now at all 42 Degree locations. That's right, up to 50% off on the largest selection of pipes and vaporizers only at the Source. 42 Degrees.
This is Scott Schultz from Host Coffee. 2022 marks our 50th year and business has never been better. We continue to grow and add new customers. Many employers are looking for new ideas for their staff as people return to the office. Our pantry service is a great office amenity for staff and guests. Fresh food, snacks, coffee, water, and other beverages for employees and guests. Enhance your office experience with pantry service from Host Coffee. Learn more at hostcoffee.net.
The big box stores have a secret. When you walk out the door with a new purchase, that's where the service ends. At Ties Outdoor Power and Service, you get great deals on brands like Hustler, Toro, Honda, and Steel. Plus, you get a dedicated experienced service center. With annual maintenance and repairs, your equipment will last longer and perform when you need it most. See us in Lincoln, Omaha, or Gretna and get 10% off your residential service. Visit TiesOutdoorPower.com, promo code radio, or mention radio to redeem.
At Lenahaw, our homegrown trees boast the most vibrant colors of fall, reds, yellows, and oranges. Shop our garden center today for the best selection of plant material and seasonal decor. When you think fall, think Lenahaw, 192nd and Center.
Make the right call, fans. The Rooferees at John Higgins Weather Guard.
Rooferees. 1620 The Zone.
All right, 6:34 on a Tuesday morning. Glad to have you in. Jimmy is here. Ravi is here. I'm Gary. It is the start of the NBA today. I know it probably crept up on some people, or you thought, wow, Boston and Golden State just got done and they're starting again.
It's been a long offseason. I'm just glad it's back. I love the NBA.
It's been a long offseason in the NBA where hardly any of it's been about the actual basketball.
Well, yeah, that's the beauty of the NBA offseason. It's all about the drama.
This year has been a little bit not good Adam Silver drama.
Yes. Yeah, it's not as I prefer the transactional drama where it's, KD wants traded or will anybody take Russ's contract, that kind of stuff. I prefer that type of drama, but the other drama is not as much fun.
But the Inside the NBA crew is back. So Charles Barkley, it was announced yesterday. They announced as a whole that the entire crew is back. So you have Kenny and Shaq and Ernie and Barkley are back. Is Charles Barkley in the sports media world the most untouchable person?
What do you mean by untouchable?
Because there are some people in the sports media world that have a microphone in front of them that get canceled. Charles Barkley, extremely opinionated.
Mm-hmm.
I think you have to, I don't go to Charles Barkley for basketball knowledge. I go to be entertained.
Yeah.
I think agree. if you approach it that way, you probably look at him a little bit differently. When he crosses over and he's on March Madness, I'm not expecting him to rattle off a bunch of things about college basketball because I've watched more college basketball than he has.
Sure.
I want him to entertain me.
Yeah.
And he does. He knows his role. I think he understands it a little bit more. He likes to talk basketball, but people go to him for entertainment. But I don't know that there's anybody in the sports media world that is as untouchable as Barkley is.
Yeah, he's certainly developed a Teflon-like quality where basically nothing he has sticks to him, or nothing he says sticks to him. And I don't know if that's because that's always been his personality, if that's just, hey, this is what we're signing up for with Charles Barkley. I mean, you go back to his playing career, it's his entire life of him in the public. This is who he's been. So I don't know if we kind of grandfather him in and it's just Charles. It's kind of what he does. It's kind of who he is. But you're right. I think if just about anyone else said one of the things that Charles says, they probably lose their job. And I don't know if it's probably because of like I said, who he's been his whole life, but also the value that he brings to inside the NBA. You're right. I don't really think, not that he doesn't know basketball. There's other people, a very long list of other people I go to for basketball stuff before him. It's just kind of like, oh, this makes the halftime show watchable. I'm not somebody that usually sticks around for a ton of the post game or anything like that, or even the pregame. I'll watch some. I know for some people it's appointment viewing. I probably find it less entertaining than most people do, but it makes it a watchable halftime show. And maybe you stay on TNT for that extra 10, 15 minutes during the middle of the game instead of flipping around. And that apparently has enough value to him to, kind of put up with whatever Charles says.
See, I think it's the best studio show going because of the chemistry of the four. And that's number one. I mean, they're all knowledgeable and they all bring different skill sets to the show. They have a great point guard in Ernie Johnson, but they have unbelievable chemistry.
Yes.
And I always scoff at football and baseball and hockey that try and duplicate what they do. You can try, but you don't have the chemistry. And that's what makes a show. I mean, whether it be what we do for a living, what the folks in Atlanta do for the NBA, if you have chemistry and everyone generally likes each other on and off the set,
sure,
then you have gold. But for people to think, hey, if those four are able to do it, and for me, it's appointment viewing, especially I will stay up late on Thursdays when they do their extended show after the late West Coast Thursday game is on, because they are funny, they give you something, but they have unbelievable chemistry. And there are other studio shows you can't duplicate. I think the closest that comes to what Inside the NBA does is Good Morning Football on the NFL Network.
Sure,
they have great chemistry. I mean, they've changed. Kim Adams is out, and they bring in somebody else, and they still have great chemistry. That's what makes these kind of shows. But I also think, TNT, TBS, the Turner Enterprise, smart to keep them all together. But most importantly, Barkley, and what is he 100 million? Wait, 10 years, 100 million or something?
Something like that.
I mean, it's an outrageous contract.
It's a huge number.
But you pay a guy who people tune in to watch. I don't know that Barkley, away from that show, is as popular as he is.
Yeah, it's kind of funny because it reminds me of the guy that a lot of people think might replace him someday in Draymond. Draymond is way more valuable to the Warriors than he is to anyone else. Charles Barkley is way more valuable to that team than he would be anywhere else. I mean, he had the flirtation with like Live Golf for a little bit and whatever. Barkley by himself, to me, does not bring in viewers. The fact that he's with Shaq and Kenny and Ernie, and they have the chemistry and they go back and forth at each other. They all kind of make fun of each other a little bit. And it's like watching a basketball game with your friends, right?
Yep.
That is what is special about that crew. And yes, Barkley is a key part of that. But by himself, I don't know how much value he brings. I will say, I mean, look at, and to your point about chemistry, look at how many different combinations ESPN's tried to put together, trying to find anything that is even in the same neighborhood as what TNT does. And they have a different crew basically every year. They just switch guys in and out. It's, Stephen A's in there. I think Michelle Beadle was in there for a while. You had Bill Simmons for a couple of years.
And all
you
it is
Jalen.
And all it is commercials, it seems like, on ESPN.
Yeah, that's part of the problem, right? Is TNT probably sacrifices a little bit of money on the commercial end in order to give them a little bit more time. Because that's the really tough part about building chemistry on TV, especially in a show like that, is the segments are so short. So you're like, okay, you've got 30 seconds, you've got 15 seconds, you've got 45 seconds. You can't actually have a real conversation in most of these formats because you're so chock full of commercials trying to pay for the live sports product that you had to pay $1 billion for, right? Where TNT gives them, especially like you said, on the extended shows, they give them a little bit more runway to build that chemistry, to show off the fact that they do really get along with each other. And that's unique almost as much as the chemistry is. The fact that TNT gives them the space to actually do that, that's not very common in television. That's why I like radio products better in terms of the conversational stuff because you get a more honest and real sounding conversation on radio than you do on television because of the structure of the product.
To me, and my team's not playing tonight, but I'm most excited for the Inside the NBA to be back. That's what I want.
Listen, this is an unpopular.
And there might be more, and you know what? And so I think there are people that kind of like the NBA, but don't really get intensely watching until April, but will watch the show.
Yeah.
Because it'll give you just enough.
Yeah, well, and they kind of sum up a lot of the things that are happening, so you can kind of get the feel of what's happening in the league without committing to watching a ton of games. This is probably I know this is an unpopular opinion. I like the Inside the NBA show. I'm not as obsessed with it as everyone else. It's not enough good basketball talk for me. Whereas it's entertaining for sure. But if I'm watching an NBA show and spending the time watching an NBA show, I want really good NBA content. And that's not exactly what you get there. It's more of a buddy cop show. And that's fine.
Yeah.
But if I'm spending the time during, I've got this time to watch an NBA game or whatever, I want really good NBA content. And that's not really what the show is designed to do.
We'll give our thoughts on what we think is going to happen in the NBA this year. It just coincides. Robbie is in today, diehard NBA fan. It will tell you why the Clippers will win the NBA Finals.
Ooh, that's going to be a no for me, dog.
why Tyronn Lue with a healthy Paul George and Kawhi Leonard and 12 guys that could play 20-plus minutes going to win the NBA title.
You just mentioned a thing that doesn't exist, a healthy Paul George and a healthy Kawhi Leonard.
I said if. Did the mic cut out there if?
That's an elephant in the room sized if right there.
All right, coming up at the bottom of the next hour, Sam McEwen stops by. 7 games in, bye week this week, so you can sit back and enjoy Minnesota, Penn State, Iowa, Ohio State.
I'm not sure a lot of people are going to enjoy that, at least on the Iowa side of things.
That line is rather large.
It's not small.
Nope. It would be a little bit different if that game was closer to here, but it is not.
Yeah. I don't think Iowa's going to enjoy their experience on Saturday.
Did I see? So I was just quickly going through some lines this morning. Did I see that Purdue is an underdog at Wisconsin?
Is that right?
Yeah. Are my Badgers back? Are they back? They're a favorite against Purdue?
After the double OT loss, people are sold.
Even with 3 losses, watch out for the Badgers. Gosh, they killed my argument on Friday.
You made a good argument, though. I was
passionate.
I was like, man, okay.
I was passionate about Jim Leonard and the Badgers, and then they went out and they got Mel Tuckered.
They tuckered out, if you will. Thank you. I'll be here today.
How come in your previous life you were not a copywriter? There's Robbie. Jimmy's here as well. Sam McEwen, Brian Christopherson, and Andy Kendi all to join the party on a Tuesday morning on 1620 The Zone.
1620 The Zone's 4-quarter pick'em returns. It's your chance to win $1,620. All you have to do is correctly pick 4 college or NFL games against the spread. Listen to qualify every weekday or enter online at 1620thezone.com. One lucky listener will be selected each week to make their picks live on air.
Awesome.
Go to 1620thezone.com for complete rules and contest details. It's 4-quarter pick'em with 1620 The Zone.
There are actually 2 kinds of cigars. The first is the one you smoke with beloved family and friends. The second, the one you enjoy with friends you've just met. And you'll find both at Hearth Cigars and Pipes Lounge. At Hearth Cigars and Pipes Lounge, there's a well-stocked humidor with some of the best bands from around the world and a bar with your favorite cocktails and other drinkables. So what do you say? Which cigar will you be enjoying tonight? Hearth Cigars and Pipes Lounge, just off I-680 and 48th Street next to Cubby's.
Hey everyone, Josh Peterson here for my friends at Kugler Vision. It has been a great summer, but a new school year. The fall, crisp, cool weather will be upon us before you know it, and it is time for you to transition into crisp, clear vision. Who can help you do that? Of course, the fine folks at Kugler Vision, voted Best of Omaha, #1 LASIK provider in Omaha Magazine. They changed my life in 2018. They can change your life today. Visit their website, schedule a consultation, KuglerVision.com.
Bill Jones.
And Olivia.
Here for Jones Bros Cupcakes. Have you tried our new chimney cones yet, Olivia?
They are so yummy.
Chimney cones are stacked on a sugar-coated croissant cone with gelato. We have flavors like birthday cake, strawberries and cream, s'mores, salted caramel, and more.
I love the birthday cake chimney cone topped with a mini cupcake. So good.
Come see us at Jones Bros Cupcakes and Cafe in Exarban Village.
We appreciate your support.
Buy your next vehicle your way from anywhere with Woodhouse. Start your journey online at woodhouse.com. Easily shop all new and pre-owned inventory. Explore payment options and apply for financing. Ready to purchase? Schedule your new vehicle for pickup from the dealership or have it delivered to your driveway. Need a little extra help in determining your perfect vehicle? Our knowledgeable and local dealerships can guide you to the vehicle that best matches your needs. Experience car buying your way with Woodhouse, a trusted auto partner since 1975.
The passion and excitement of high school football continues every week, and the high school football update covers it all every Saturday morning. Join veteran sportscasters Jim Kelter and Torrey Pantalian Saturday mornings 8 to 10 on 1180 The Zone.
Can you believe it? The NBA season is here, and you can place your bets with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. And right now, new customers get $150 in free bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. Just use promo code 1620 when you sign up. Plus, all customers get 3 months of NBA League Pass when they make a $5 bet on the NBA, courtesy of FanDuel. Free basketball.
Free hoops, John. Plus, you have an opportunity to win lots and lots of money. Do not miss your chance to get $150 in free bets, plus 3 months of NBA League Pass today with our promo code 1620. Take the Bucks to win the NBA title. Promo code 1620. 21 plus and present in Iowa. New customers, first online real money wager only. $10 deposit required. Bonus issued is non-withdrawable free bets that expire in 14 days. Existing customers, $5 NBA wager required. Limit 1 pass per customer across both offers. Restrictions do apply. Void where prohibited. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-BETS-OFF. NBA League Pass. Local blackout restrictions apply.
Cubby's supports the PACE program with Raise Some Dough. For every large pizza sold at Cubby's in the Old Market, Cubby's gives $1 to the Police Athletic League, serving at-risk and disadvantaged inner-city children with athletic and educational programs. PACE has over 5,800 program participants. The league reaches kids that would not normally be able to participate in athletics like soccer and baseball due to financial situations and family dynamics. PACE wants to give every kid the opportunity at athletics and a healthy and safe environment. If you'd like to support PACE too, go to paceomaha.org.
MD West One's team of neurosurgical spine specialists is the largest and most advanced in the greater Omaha metro. MD West One has been voted the #1 private practice and #1 in neurosurgery and spine by Best of Omaha year after year. They can help if you're suffering from recurring neck and back pain, weakness or numbness in your extremities, sciatica pain, or any other recurring issues stemming from your neck or back. Go to mdwest1.com to meet the spine team at MD West One.
1620 The Zone.
Mornings on 1620 The Zone, brought to you by MD West One, Orthopedics, Neurosurgery, and Spine. There's Robbie, Jimmy. I'm Gary. There is the thing about last night in the NFL and the bad NFL football that we've had this year, primarily in some primetime games, is this just shows you, I firmly believe that the National Football League, with stuff on and off the field, is too big to fail. Because there is, Ravi, no other sport that comes to my mind that we can complain about the product and we don't turn it off.
Oh, without a doubt. It's not even close. Because
we are so, in this country, we are so addicted to the game of football.
And I think we're
either for the good or the bad.
Well, yes. An argument can be made for both. But I think we are as addicted to the schedule of it as anything. Like it's what you do on Saturday. You watch college football. It's what you do on Sunday. You watch the NFL. Monday night, boom, scheduled television. Thursday night, boom, scheduled television. It's not like the NBA or Major League Baseball where it's like, well, they play mostly every night, but not really every night. And I don't know what time they're going to play and whatever. Noon on Sunday, there will be football. There will be an NFL game. There'll be another one at 3:30. There'll be a game at 7 o'clock on Monday. There'll be a game at 7 o'clock on Thursday. I think we like the structure of it as much as anything. It's like, yeah, obviously people like football, right? You wouldn't become addicted to the structure unless you like the product on some level. But I think the fact that it is so predictable makes it really easy to get addicted. You know exactly when you're going to get that little dopamine hit of football every single week. And that's a huge advantage for it over the other major sports.
You can say the same thing about Nebraska football. Nebraska football is given some bad football.
Yeah,
results, but the actual playing that
yeah,
you can't give it up.
You could make an argument that it's not a dopamine hit you get with Nebraska football. It's more of like a cortisol stress hormone hit there. But yes, you have it's built into your life, basically. It is part of the infrastructure of your week is Saturday, Nebraska football, boom, every single week. Same thing with the NFL. Usually the NFL is a better product than Nebraska has been lately, but the primetime games have gone out of their way to try and make that not true.
I mean, it's amazing. That was if you watch the game of football for the beauty of the speed, the size, everything that goes into football, and you watch a bad game, the NFL, we don't turn it off.
No.
The Colts Broncos game was worse 2 weeks ago.
Oh, without a doubt.
But people didn't turn it off. People might have left the stadium in Denver,
yes.
but people at home couldn't turn it off. And even last night, as we were all sarcastic about, please don't let this game go to overtime, or please let this game go to a tie, we couldn't stop watching.
Nope, we still had it on.
The NFL is too big to fail.
Which, I mean, think about this in contrast with the NBA for a second. Somebody who's not, and I don't think most people are diehard NFL fans in the sense that they're addicted to the football itself, right? Like there's not that many hardcore fans where they're like breaking down games and things like that, where it's a real detailed football experience for them. They're kind of just watching the show, right? You have the same thing with NBA fans. They'll tune in. If they see two guys flop within the first 5 minutes, they're out.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Even if everything else is great, even if the playmaking, the athleticism, everything else is great. Two flops in the first 5 minutes, they're changing the channel. They're watching one of the 18 NCIS shows or something. Or, you see one of those James Harden crappy fouls that he draws all the time, or Trae Young does it. They're out. Like, no, this product is terrible. They're all floppers and babies. I'm out. And guess what? It's not any worse than some of the stuff you see in the NFL with the, for the roughing the passers last week, right? Egregious, terrible.
We had another one last night.
Yeah, just terrible use of a rule. Kind of a similar corollary to drawing those stupid fouls on 3-point shots, where it's like, yeah, I get that rule exists. That's not why it's supposed to be there. In the NBA, you see one of those, you turn it off immediately. But change the channel. You're like, I've got a cold case I can watch, whatever. NFL, you're like, you just complain about it. You get on Twitter, but you keep watching the game. It's crazy how committed we are to football when nothing else keeps us like that.
And last night was another case of that, because there were over 200 yards in penalties as well, along with some bad offensive football. All right, coming up after the top of the hour, there is something that is happening at a Big Ten West school in football that is not happening at Nebraska, and is that another check on the side of pro Mickey and the Mickey-o-meter. We will dive into that. It also includes Sam McEwen in the next hour. There's Ravi, Jimmy here as well. I'm Gary at 1620 The Zone in the mornings on this frigid Tuesday. I just got an update. I got an update from our weather guy. We hit a record low. It is a record.
Officially?
Yep. We are at 19.
Officially official.
Does it feel like 19 outside because the wind's not blowing and there's no snow on the ground? But why is it 19 on the 18th of October? What are we doing, folks?
I don't know. I don't like it. I'm not a fan. It should still be semi-warm outside.
I did ask. I said, how long is this going to last? And they said, you'll be very happy. You're going to be back in shorts before the week is over.
Oh,
and I'm like, bam!
It's like 70s on Thursday. Just going right back.
My God, we are the San Diego of the Big Ten.
Live from the Host Coffee Studio, this is 1620 The Zone.
Mornings on 1620 The Zone, brought to you by MD West One Orthopedics, Neurosurgery, and Spine.
1620 The Zone. Traffic.
From the Burton AC Heating, Plumbing, and More Time-Saving Traffic Center. We have no accidents to report at this time, but you can't expect just a little bit of slowdown near 108th and L. Then on Industrial Road, it looks like things are slowing down just a little bit near 149th. And northbound along the JFK, be prepared for a little bit of slowdown near 25th and Q Street. As always, remember to stay safe and wear your seatbelts. I'm Chris Scott. This time-saving traffic was brought to you by the Nebraska Lottery.
Introducing the Universal Monsters $5 scratch tickets from the Nebraska Lottery with a $50,000 top prize featuring Frankenstein, Dracula, Wolfman, Bride of Frankenstein, Creature from the Black Lagoon, and The Mummy. Top prize odds 1 in 96,000.
Oscar's Pizza and Sports Grill has been making your game day experience one to remember for 18 years with our award-winning char-buffed wings at $7.99 Monday through Friday lunch specials. But now your game day just got bigger and better with Oscar's newly upgraded audio-video system. Cheer on your favorite teams this season in front of a 22-foot LED video wall, showing up to 8 games at once, and of course, 40 TVs and massive dual projectors. Oscar's Pizza and Sports Grill, 173rd and West Center Road, and for takeout at 162nd and Maple.
At Lenahaw, our homegrown trees boast the most vibrant colors of fall, reds, yellows, and oranges. Shop our garden center today for the best selection of plant material and seasonal decor. When you think fall, think Lenahaw, 192nd and Center.
It's Halloween at Genesis Health Clubs. Join with no enrollment, no contract, and save 20% per month every month. It may be the spookiest time of year, but starting a new fitness routine doesn't have to be scary. Genesis Health Clubs has top-of-the-line equipment and the absolute best personal trainers, tennis professionals, and group fitness instructors to keep you motivated and headed toward your fitness goals. Plus, relax in luxury after with sauna, steam rooms, and fluffy towel service at most locations. Genesis is here to help every step of the way. There's nothing scary about that. This Halloween, join Genesis Health Clubs with no enrollment, no contract, and save 20% per month every single month. But hurry, this offer will end before you have a chance to count your Halloween candy. It ends on Halloween and won't extend. Come to Genesis and get in the best shape of your life so you can handle anything those zombies, werewolves, and vampires throw at you. Plus, get your New Year's resolutions checked off with time to spare. Go to GenesisHealthClubs.com before Halloween to get no enrollment, no contract, and save 20% per month every month.
An estimated 80% of Americans aren't getting their recommended daily amount of physical activity. It's time to move and keep moving, America. And when you need help, physical therapists and physical therapist assistants are by your side. Be your own champion. Choose more movement. Choose better health. Choose physical therapy. Find out more information and a physical therapist at choosept.com/NE. Brought to you by the American Physical Therapy Association of Nebraska.
MD West One's team of neurosurgical spine specialists is the largest and most advanced in the greater Omaha metro. MD West One has been voted the #1 private practice and #1 in neurosurgery and spine by Best of Omaha year after year. They can help if you're suffering from recurring neck and back pain, weakness or numbness in your extremities, sciatica pain, or any other recurring issues stemming from your neck or back. Go to mdwest1.com to meet the spine team at MD West One.
Save up to 50% during 42 Degrees Pipes and Vaporizers sale. And it's going on right now at all 42 Degree locations. That's right, save up to 50% on the largest selection of pipes and vaporizers. Only at the source, 42 Degrees.
Ew. Stuck in a cycle of rewashing your clothes? Ugh. Because you can't remove tough laundry odor? Ugh. When detergent by itself can't cut it, use new Downy Rinse and Refresh. With a breakthrough odor-removing formula, it removes odors in 1 wash, better than the leading value detergent in 3 washes, keeping all your laundry fresh. Now you can break the cycle of rewashing with Downy Rinse and Refresh.
Hi guys, it's Andrew with Brookside Medical Clinic. Is erectile dysfunction damaging your relationship? Are you sick of the pill and all the side effects? Well, welcome to the future. We have a major medical breakthrough. Brookside Medical Clinic uses the most advanced form of wave therapy. Backed by 60 clinical studies, our technology uses pressure waves to repair and open up blood vessels. We've helped countless men get rid of their ED. But what is the true end result? Their relationship, even their lives, improve drastically. If you're ready to regain your love life, call us right now, and not only will the assessment and ultrasound be free, we'll also give you a gift that produces immediate results in the bedroom. It almost never fails. This is worth $550, and it's free to callers right now. 402-671-7777. That's 402-671-7777. Put a stop to your erectile dysfunction and experience what I call the happiness ripple effect. Call Brookside Medical Clinic now. 402-671-7777.
Shop Woodhouse Place Hyundai and Nissan, 144th and Giles. KOZN, Bellevue, Omaha, Council Bluffs.
I go day by day. I get better day by day, work on my techniques and routes. And when the game comes, I just play football. The player-led team is a great team, and we know we got to work on. We just go watch the film, 24-hour rule, and get back to work.
Welcome back in hour number 2. Ravi is here today. He's the friend of the day. I'm Gary. I'm here all the time. To some, I'm a friend, some not. Jimmy is here. Jimmy is a universal friend. Trey Palmer is a friend to a lot of people. Safe to say that he is the breakout star for Nebraska football this year. You just heard after the game on Saturday night his comments. Or was this to be expected?
Oh, I didn't expect this from a receiving standpoint. I don't think we knew this about him.
There were some questions about going from being wide receiver 3 to wide receiver 1. I think even his position coach wondered if he could make the jump and consistently do what he thought he could do. Now, remember last year, there were moments that you went, whoa. And then there were moments where he was benched.
Yeah, just
And you're like,
disappeared.
what are we doing here? So would he fall under the category of internally a breakout star or more externally a breakout star? Because if he just averages a little under 6 catches per game and just 224 more yards receiving, he is going to walk out of here in what will be his only year here. I don't know why he would stick around because if I'm Mickey Joseph, I'm saying go to the league.
Yeah.
Thank you. You came here. You did what you needed to do. Hopefully it improved your draft stock. Go to the league, son. If he does those two things, he's going to walk out of here with his name atop the record book for single season receptions and receiving yards.
Yeah, I mean, I think he might be the only star for Nebraska this year. Is that fair? Who else?
Yeah.
Who else would qualify?
So I'm not disagreeing with you, but what is your clarification of a star?
I mean, just somebody that around the league you would look at and say, yeah, he's one of the best at his position in the league.
Now, he's probably the rare, maybe the only one that an Ohio State, Michigan would do a second look on.
Yeah, they would be like, yeah, we could use
A
him.
healthy Vokalek I would throw in there.
Probably. We haven't really necessarily seen that this year. Obviously, the production isn't there because of the injury issues. But, yeah, Trey Palmer is the only guy that the best teams in the league would look at and be like, yeah, we could probably use him. Maybe positionally, Ohio State wouldn't need him because of how deep they've been at receiver. But in general, he's the type of guy that an Ohio State, Michigan, Penn State
So
would
this
want.
is what I did Saturday night. I watched nearly the entire Alabama-Tennessee game. And I like watching that CBS 2:30 game. And I like watching the SEC. I mean, why not? Why wouldn't I? Is you watch the 7 catches that Trey Palmer had. And a lot of the time it wasn't like in traffic, he goes up, he makes an 8-yard catch. It's usually on the run. He's got a long extended run.
Yeah.
If you watched, like Tennessee's got a plethora of wide receivers, not just Wyatt. I mean, they got some dudes. Did you not watch Trey Palmer? And this is a little bit, leading because he came from the SEC, but he looked like an SEC wide receiver. You look at Ohio State's wide receivers. They look like SEC wide receivers.
Yeah.
When they get into the open field, they catch the ball on the run. They know what to do with it. Like Charlie Jones, to me, is a good wide receiver, but he looks like a Big Ten wide receiver.
Or a MAC wide receiver.
Camper from Indiana looks like a Big Ten wide receiver.
Yeah.
Trey Palmer looks different.
Well, and even not just on the catches, but think about the 60-yard run, right? He looked like an SEC guy on that 60-yard run. When he gets into the open field, when he's striding out past everybody, he looks like he belongs in the SEC with that type of speed and just the athleticism and knowing what to do with the football. I just basically consider Ohio State an SEC team. Their entire roster is basically on par with the SEC. They happen to play in Ohio, but they're more of an SEC team in talent and in probably priorities than.
Thank you, Urban Meyer. He
Yes.
established that.
Yeah, 100%. And that's the legacy he leaves at Ohio State, is he basically brought them from, because under Jim Tressel, they were a Big Ten team, very much so. And they were successful and good, but Urban took them to the next level of, hey, no one in the country is going to have better athletes than us. We might get beat sometimes, but it's not because they're more talented than we are. That's just never happening again. And so, yeah, it is interesting to think about where some Nebraska guys fall in that context. And to your point, I think Trey Palmer is the only one that really does. I don't know that there's, you mentioned Vokalek, which I agree. If he's healthy, he's probably a desirable guy, but he even he's a Big Ten feel. He feels like a Big Ten guy, even if he would be desired by some of the better Big Ten schools. But outside of Trey Palmer, which is kind of the lone bright spot in this season, I don't know that anybody else on that roster you look at and say, I don't even know how many guys on that roster you look at and say, hey, that's a good Big Ten player, much less an SEC player.
He's the breakout star. I mean, I think Nebraska is going to have to win a couple of games for him to be all Big Ten.
First team for sure. Yeah, they're going to have to get to. I mean, I mentioned this early in the first hour. I think they have to win more than 4 games for him to get consideration as first team all Big Ten, because you do have the Ohio State guys, you do have Charlie Jones, you have enough good wide receivers in this league that I don't think they'll give it to somebody who's on a 4-8 Nebraska team if that's what they end up being. Where talent-wise, numbers-wise, he'll absolutely deserve, but I think he's probably going to end up on that second team. Not to take away anything from his season, I just don't think Nebraska's going to be good enough to warrant a first-team selection.
So you pick one of the 2 wide receivers at Ohio State. You got Marvin Harrison Jr. or Egbuka. One of those guys will be all Big Ten. Charlie Jones has a really good chance to be all Big Ten.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, Charlie Jones is going to end up with a ridiculous amount of catches thanks to Aiden O'Connell. Camper at Indiana, Isaiah Williams at Illinois.
Yeah.
Am I missing any other wide receivers? I think those are the only ones that, in my opinion, midway through the year, that elicited a conversation to be first team all Big Ten.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think that's the group. I think that's fair.
But if Purdue wins the West, then Charlie Jones will be one of those.
Yeah, I mean, I was looking at their schedule.
Charlie Jones' numbers are crazy.
Yeah, they're going to be enormous because he gets a ton of targets in that system. They throw the ball a ton, and Purdue
56 catches.
Has a really good shot at being 9-3 at the end of the season, which will, I think, absolutely land him on first team all Big Ten.
All right, let's start the morning with Joe. Good morning, Joe.
What's up, fellas?
Joe, how you doing?
I am good. I'm good. I don't know what it seems like. Husker fans, we had like Trey Bryant had a good 1 or 2 good games a few years back. He had a great game against Oregon, and all of a sudden Husker fans are like, "Oh my goodness, he's the guy. He's the guy." And I love the game that Trey Palmer had, and I think he is our best player. But I'm also like, let's pump the brakes here. We had one good game or one great game. He's had a couple good games, but he's had no other great games up until, last week. And it's like, well, yeah, if he continues doing it, but that's sort of what separates, in my opinion, great players and good players, because there's all sorts of players that have had great games, but it's stacking them, stacking one on top of the other, where I love the guy. I think he's great. I think he is our best player. But just a couple weeks ago, we were saying, that running back number 10 was our best player. And now all of a sudden, what's his name has a good, Palmer has a good game. And now he's our best player. Where it's like, where's the consistency amongst Husker Nation? It's like, it's just my opinion.
That's fair, Joe. But Joe, I think it's not just last week. I mean, you go back I will start with the Oklahoma game. Now, nobody had a good game against Oklahoma. Maybe we'll go Indiana, Rutgers, Purdue. Has he not been the best player on the field in those 3 games?
From both sides?
Yes.
Yeah, possibly. No, and I don't disagree that I think right now he's our best player. I don't disagree that, he is a star. But I also look at, what kind of stats he put up for the rest of the year up until now. And none of it's been like, has he been the offensive player of the week? Has he been, up until now? It's like, yes, I do think, I agree with you. I think he probably is the best player in those 3 games on both sides, between both teams.
Joe,
but I'm also sort of leery of like, pump the brakes. Nebraska fans, we're great at, riding that roller coaster. But anyway, that's just my 2 cents.
Joe, thanks. And Joe may have gotten to. I know there was chatter about best outside of his 1 year, best wide receiver. Now that's where I go, whoa. It's early, but I'm gonna ride with a guy that's got 29 catches in his last 4 games. And when you need a play or when the ball's in his hand, he makes a play. And it's not. And I said this before Purdue. It just happened. Let's be honest. He was the only offense for Nebraska against Purdue. You add his plays, his 7 catches, his end around for 60. There's only about 3 or 4 more offensive plays that fill in the rest of the numbers offensively.
Yeah, I mean, you had what does that put him at? Almost 300 yards of total offense by himself, right?
Yeah, 297.
Nebraska had 470 off the top of my head, somewhere in that neighborhood. And there's a couple other chunk plays.
Oh, you have the long pass to Martin. There's a Thompson run in there.
Yeah, there's a 30-yard Thompson run. There's like a 17-yard Ramir Johnson run. But yeah, you're talking about a handful of plays, basically 4 or 5 other plays that are made by anybody outside of Trey Palmer that basically make up all of that 470 yards. To Joe's point, I mean, Trey Palmer's been pretty consistent all year. He got off to a little bit of a slow start touchdown wise, but he scored in his last 4 games. You're looking at 68 yards, 82 yards, 81 yards, 92 yards, 157, 64 yards, 237. So, I mean, you could make the argument that 8 catches, 157 yards, and a touchdown against Indiana is a pretty great game. I mean, that's a really good game for a Nebraska receiver. And I think 157 yards puts you pretty close to top 10 single game receiving yard list as well. It's not like you're looking at him and he's like, yeah, he's having 3 catches for 40 yards every game and then just has this one breakout game because nobody could cover him. He's been pretty consistent all year and been consistently getting better kind of each week as he gets more comfortable. I think with Casey Thompson and kind of knowing where that deep ball is going to go. I don't know that we're overreacting to his season. I think
we're reacting accordingly.
Yeah, we're reacting accordingly to the progression of him as a football player. And I'll be honest, I was not sure we were going to see this you asked this question, are you surprised? Yes, I was. I thought we were going to see more of Trey Palmer, the return man, and maybe Trey Palmer, the secondary receiver. And what we've gotten is, I mean, the first bona fide one as a receiver that Nebraska's had in a really long time.
Mayor Joel tweets in, Joe going all Scott Frost, don't crown him. Now, here's where they need to go all Mickey. They need to promote the heck out of Trey Palmer moving forward because you have 2 things here. One, the side part is, what about high school wide receivers you recruit? Can you develop them? Because back-to-back years, Nebraska is going to take a portal wide receiver, and they're going to have an opportunity to go to the NFL.
Yeah, I mean,
Torrey had a really, really good year last year.
Yeah,
Trey Palmer, really, really good, could be record-setting year. He's off to the NFL a day 2 or a day 3 guy. They need to lean all in on what Nebraska's been able to do with wide receivers here. Now, there's not up and down the list of NFL teams wide receivers, but there are some Nebraska wide receivers that are in the NFL or have gotten a look.
Yeah.
From, a program that has underperformed. They need to go all in on Trey Palmer transferred here.
Mm-hmm.
He came and he played for Mickey, and look what happened.
Yeah.
You can be the same person because look in the transfer portal of impact guys this offseason to this year. There's a lot of wide receivers that changed addresses that were looking to increase their output that maybe were Trey Palmer at a previous school where they were behind 2 really good wide receivers. They were wide receiver 3. They wanted to go to a place that they could be wide receiver 1, and they benefited, and now they're going to get paid. If I was Nebraska for the rest of the year with Trey Palmer and what he is doing and what he can mean for the future at that position, and this is a home for portal wide receivers, I'd lean into it heavily. And then on the side, you go, okay, our wide receiver recruiting for high school kids, we got to be more consistent that guys we bring here actually can play in the Big Ten, and we got to coach them up. But it's okay to have a Torrey and a Palmer, and who's next in 23?
Yeah, I mean, I'm assuming as long as Mickey Joseph is here next year, which again, I am assuming he is here next year in one way or another, that getting wide receivers won't be a problem. And that is not just a Trey Palmer thing. That's just his track record in general. So you actually kind of have a nice intersection here of Nebraska last year with Toure, getting him in, raising his profile from an FCS guy to boom, he gets a chance in the league. You have that intersection with also we bring in one of the best wide receiver coaches in the country, a guy that has a great track record of getting guys to the NFL. So you've got the transfer aspect with Toure and Palmer, but then you also have, I mean, look at the guys that Mickey Joseph has recruited out of high school. I'm not terribly worried about that moving forward. Yes, it is an area where Nebraska has struggled up to this point, but as long as Mickey Joseph is on staff, I am pretty confident that they're going to be able to get high school wide receivers and develop them into NFL type guys.
So you're going to need that portal guy next year.
Yes, you need to fill the gap.
Okay, because you're going to lose Manning, you're going to lose Martin. You've already lost portal guy, Isaiah Garcia Castaneda, who's the only portal guy. Wisconsin's had 4 in the last 4 days. That's what I was going to bring up. We'll get to. You're going to lose Trey Palmer. So Marcus Washington right now would be your oldest wide receiver next year, assuming Alante Brown comes back, and I don't know why he wouldn't.
Sure.
But Jones, Grimes, and Hardy, I don't know if they can play at Nebraska.
I don't either.
So you've got Crawford, who out for the year, because probably he would have found during the course of the season his way on the field. And then you've got Bonner. So next year, as you cleanse that room and lose, Manning, Martin, and Palmer, you're going to need to replenish it.
Probably
now you've been aggressive recruiting right now, but you're going to have to. Can you find for the 3rd straight year that Toure Palmer portal guy? Why not? Because you have now 2 years running, one with Mickey Joseph, one without. But in this program, 2 guys that have come here and they've increased their stock. Toure came here as an NFL prospect, definitely increased his stock.
Without a doubt. Yeah.
Trey Palmer definitely has increased his stock. I mean, Saturday night, scouts in the press box loved him.
Sure.
Loved him. And now he is firmly on the radar of, wow, could this guy be a day 2 guy? So next year is the transition in that wide receiver room. But who's the next Trey Palmer that's going to be in the portal when you start looking at the end of the year? Because I think you're going to cleanse that room. I mean, I think they're all of a sudden going to go from, what do they have, 11 scholarship wide receivers at the beginning of the year. You take out Garcia Castaneda, you're down to 10. You're probably going to, some guys that have eligibility, you're probably going to have 2 or 3 that aren't going to be back.
Sure.
I mean, if you're a Grimes and a Hardy and you haven't hit the field yet,
maybe you move on.
And you're in a wide receiver room where they moved a defensive back to your room. I mean, the writing is essentially on the wall, in my opinion.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And I think you actually might need a couple portal guys for that wide receiver room because, I mean, while you do have, you mentioned Bonner from last year's this past year's class, you've got a couple wide receivers in this upcoming class. Wide receiver is a position where you can get instant impact from freshmen. I don't know if they will. Also,
I think Miller will be an impact guy.
I think so too,
Miller.
assuming, he's Louisiana guy, assuming Mickey Joseph is still on staff. He probably sticks it out through the coaching change, whoever it ends up being, as long as Mickey's retained. But you probably need a couple of transfer portal guys at wide receiver. Here's the positive about that, though, because we talked about this briefly yesterday with the offensive line and how the transfer portal is probably not going to help you there because of the scarcity of impact guys. There's a ton of wide receivers in the transfer portal. There's a ton of talented guys in the transfer portal at that spot. It's one of the places you actually can get instantly better. And with a guy like Mickey Joseph, you actually have one of the biggest advantages in, hey, he can identify who's actually good and what he can get out of those guys. So I'm pretty confident in their ability to get a couple guys out of the portal, have them be impactful and replenish that room while they wait for some of these, your Jaden Dosses, your Omar and Millers, your Bonners to develop into the guys they need to fill out the depth. So I'm not terribly worried about wide receiver, and maybe I'm putting too much confidence in Mickey Joseph, but until I see otherwise, I'm comfortable doing that. But you're right. Nebraska has a pretty good recruiting pitch at that position, whereas there's a lot of other positions on the field where the recruiting pitch is more hopeful, more projection, whereas the wide receiver recruiting pitch is proof of concept. It's like, hey, we've done this. This is what we have done for guys. This is what our coach has done for guys. You can follow the same path rather than trying to create a new path at some of these positions where Nebraska hasn't had a ton of success.
That's Ravi. I'm Gary Jimmy here as well. As we go into break, And we got Sam McEwen coming up before the hour is over. Big East Media Days today in New York City. First time ever. Creighton is the preseason favorite. Villanova's third.
Ooh, that's a little surprising.
Xavier's second. I thought Kalkbrenner would be the preseason player of the year. Instead, it is Sonogo from UConn.
That's wrong.
Cam Whitmore is the freshman of the year preseason. Preseason first team, Kalkbrenner is the only J on there. Second team, Kaluma, Nemhard. That is your.
Oh, they went Nemhard.
Yep.
Second team. Okay.
Kalkbrenner would be preseason, but
he's better.
What do I know? We're in the Midwest, and it's an East Coast conference.
Yeah, and he didn't completely decimate Sonogo twice last year or anything. That's fine.
There you go. I just set that one up for you. Jesus.
He embarrassed Sonogo last year.
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, people thought Sonogo was the best player in the league, and Kalkbrenner ate his lunch twice.
All right, Sam McEwen coming up here in a little bit. Matt, stay right there. We'll get to you. If you'd like to join the conversation on the Les Hills Harley-Davidson hotline, 951-1620 at 1620 The Zone.
Mornings on 1620 The Zone is brought to you by MD West One Orthopedics, Neurosurgery, and Spine. Previously on The Crossover.
I was DD for some nice young co-eds. They wanted to go to a frat house. They didn't want to let me in the frat house. I said, no, that's not the way this is going down, gentlemen.
Nice.
They said something to me. I said something profane, and it was go time.
Let's go. That's an honorable reason to get in a fight. All of mine were exceedingly dumb.
Mornings on 1620 The Zone. The Connor Happer Show. Unsportsmanlike conduct. 6A to 6P. 1620 The Zone. Your Omaha area forecast presented by Bellevue Berry and Pumpkin Ranch from the KETV Newswatch 7 Weather Center on 1620 The Zone.
The bright sunny skies will continue throughout your Tuesday, along with the unseasonably chilly temperatures. In Omaha, I'm tracking a high temperature of only 42 degrees. You add on a northwest wind, it could feel like the mid-30s through most of the day. For tonight, another cold one, clear skies, calm wind, an overnight low temperature of 19 degrees. I'm meteorologist Anthony Copeland for KETV News Watch 7.
Mornings on 1620 The Zone, brought to you by MD West One Orthopedics, Neurosurgery, and Spine.
1620 The Zone. Traffic.
From the Burden, AC, Heating, Plumbing, and More, time-saving traffic center. We have one accident to report near 93rd and Maple, so please be cautious if you are in that area. Then along L, be prepared for some significant slowdown from 90th to 83rd. And on Center, it looks like things have slowed down just a little bit from 180th to 168th. As always, remember to stay safe and wear your seatbelts. I'm Chris Scott. This time-saving traffic is brought to you by Nanfito Heating and Cooling.
Don't get caught in the cold. Call Nanfito Heating and Cooling, your Rude Pro partner today. Now is the time to have Nanfito Heating and Cooling get your furnace in top shape. Nanfito services all brands of furnaces. Call today, 402-515-5050.
Dear gas prices, go take a hike. Toyota is the #1 retail brand for electrified vehicles for 22 years. The Toyota hybrid lineup brings efficiency with power and savings with style. Not to mention top tech to help keep you connected. Plush premium interiors and the most advanced Toyota safety features. So, now you know who you're talking to. Toyota, the #1 retail brand for electrified vehicles for 22 years. With a hybrid or electric vehicle built for every driver. Seriously, dear gas prices? Do you really think you can stand in our way? Think again. Toyota Hybrids. Find yours at Toyota.com. Toyota, let's go places.
Based on manufacturer estimates, CY 2000 through 2021 sales.
See your independently owned Omaha Metro Toyota dealers. Village Point Toyota of Omaha, Baxter Toyota of La Vista, or Corwin Toyota of Bellevue.
Looking for a new pipe or the latest vaporizer? Then go to any 42 Degrees and pick from the largest selection of American-made water pipes from Custom Creations, Jedi Glass, Michael Crouch, and local artist Chris Vargas. Need a new vaporizer from Dr. Dabble, Pax 3, Hamilton, and more? With prices up to 50% off, the most knowledgeable, friendly, and professional staff, and multiple locations. Why shop anywhere else? 42 Degrees, the source.
Follow your imagination to the Bellevue Berry and Pumpkin Ranch. Bring the whole gang and explore for treasure on the pirate shipwreck. See how the West was fun. Pretend you're a superhero as you jump on giant bounce pads. Maybe reserve your own campfire rental where you can roast marshmallows and tell stories. It's all up to you. And of course, go on a hayride and grab your own pumpkin. Priced by the size, not the pound. Follow your imagination at the Bellevue Berry and Pumpkin Ranch. 48th between Cornhusker and Highway 370. More info at BellevueBerryFarm.com.
You could save big when you bundle your home and auto with Progressive, but when we just come out and say it, it feels like it falls a bit flat. So we're going to tap into human emotion. First with some music. Then in a serious tone, I'll say, save big when you bundle your home and auto with Progressive. And even though it was about saving money with Progressive, we'll fade out the music so you know it was poignant. Wow, powerful stuff. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Discount not available in all states or situations.
I always wanted to learn Spanish, but I never thought I'd have the time. Then I discovered Babbel.
Babbel's lessons are fun. They only take like 10 or 15 minutes, and in 3 weeks, presto, you're speaking another language, like magic.
I love that Babbel's lessons aren't just robots talking. They're voiced by native speakers, so you get the pronunciation just right.
If you want to learn a language, there's no faster, easier, better way than
Babbel.
Babbel.
Babbel. Go to Babbel.com to try for free. That's BABBEL.com. Babbel.com.
My doctor told me my cholesterol is borderline. So I took control with Garlic Healthy Cholesterol Formula. Garlic helps maintain healthy cholesterol safely and naturally. It's odor and taste free, and Garlic is a world leader in garlic potency. I'm taking charge of my cholesterol with Garlic Healthy Cholesterol Formula. Cholesterol's natural enemy.
These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. The term natural references only the garlic in the product. Use as directed.
Don't miss this week's Zone Deal.
This week's half-off deal from Langfeld Overhead Doors gets you a half-horsepower chain LiftMaster door opener, one remote, and installation valued at $450 for only $225. A LiftMaster garage door opener with remote plus installation half off for $225 is this week's half-off deal.
Zone deals go fast. 9 a.m. Friday, 1620thezone.com.
Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. EquitableOnline.com.
1620 The Zone.
All right, Sam McEwen from the World Herald will join us just a moment, but here is Matt. Matt, thanks for holding through the break. Welcome to 1620 The Zone.
Hey, good morning. Hey, I've never heard a narrative yet of Mickey Joseph not being at Nebraska next year. So I was just curious, what's that process look like if he's not the head coach? What's the percent of the probability that he will be here next year? And if it's a different head coach, can they say they don't want Mickey and push him out? How does that look like if Mickey is no longer a part of Nebraska next year?
That's a good question. Now, here's the scenario. So Mickey has a 3-year deal.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of things, whether he's the head coach here next year or not, that I think he is setting up for 23, especially when you look at recruiting. I mean, he, as an interim head coach, there aren't other programs that are doing the kind of stuff that he is doing recruiting.
You mean acting like he's,
offers, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So there will be an understanding, I think, and when you go through the process, that we have a valuable asset that is currently on the roster, whether it be positional coach, knowledge of the locker room, recruiting, that I be highly suggested if you please keep him. Now, not every coach will say, "Oh no, I'm not assuming anybody." But in this case, if your name was not Mickey Joseph and you were not the next head coach at Nebraska and you were a new head coach and the guy that was hiring you was trying to help you, you would look at him and go, "That's a guy I got to have, because that's a guy that can help me get my feet on the ground."
Mm-hmm.
And everybody knows. And also, he's a huge asset to me.
Well,
and the program.
It's not super uncommon for at least one staff member to carry over. That's pretty common. And 2, he is at worst one of the 3 best wide receiver coaches in the country. So and Brian Hartline from Ohio State's not coming here. So it'd be a pretty bad or pretty difficult argument to not keep him.
Here's Sam McEwen of the Omaha World Herald. What would be a scenario that Mickey would not be here next year?
I don't know. That's a great question. I think there are some coaches that I think are very inner circle. The person who comes to mind is Matt Campbell. That that Campbell has a recruiter on his staff that I think he really likes, and probably would take that role. So I could see that being the case with Matt. I think, but I don't know that there's a lot of them. But that's I'm just telling you, that's something to, as people process. Well, what about Matt Campbell? It's possible. I mean, Nate Scheelhaas is the quarterback coach at Iowa State, but he does a lot of that recruiting stuff. And so, but I would say that almost any coach that would take the job would want Mickey Joseph and would probably be given financial latitude to pay him a lot of money. I just have a sense that particular salary is going to be, if he sticks around, will be higher than what he's got now because of his value to the roster, his value to the room. And then you've got to, of course, I think he's got to be exactly what his highest skill set is, which is you're going to be the receivers coach, and you don't have to be the recruiting coordinator because that person's more the organizer. You have to be the person that goes out and helps us attract as much talent as possible from parts of the country where talent can be hard to get, and then when that talent gets here, to help keep those guys here, even if things get tough. And so I think that's probably the role that he would best fit. And that doesn't necessarily mean that he's recruiting every position on the team. But I think that does mean that he gets you in some doors, and then the other guys come in and do what they need to do.
Sam, how do you think the presence of Mickey Joseph will factor into conversations Trev has with potential candidates? Do you think it comes up? Because it does seem like Trev would prefer Mickey to still be at Nebraska. Do you think that's something that's going to come up in initial conversations? Like, hey, we're interested in you. What do you think about Mickey Joseph?
I think it would come up with certain coaches. Yeah. If he was having conversations with coaches who know Mickey or have worked with him before, I think there would be an obvious connection there. I don't think that Trev Alberts is going to stipulate to the new coach who he needs to hire. I don't. I would be surprised if that was part of the conversation. And to be clear, I understand the fan base is really excited about what they're kind of seeing on the field. In terms of the points production and the fight, and it's exciting and all that. But Nebraska football is not making a 1 year or a 2 year decision. It hopes to be making a 20-year decision. And when you make a 20-year decision, at the end of the day, you have to really, empower the coach to kind of do what they want. And so I think the conversation that's being had out there probably isn't going to involve a high level of, and to take this job, you must do this, and this, and keep this person in order to stay here. I understand that you want to build the most positive system at Nebraska possible, but I don't know that there's going to be a hard stipulation, and I don't know that that's going to be one of the primary drivers of conversation. But Nebraska football is bad. I mean, we have to be really honest about that. I know they fought hard against Purdue, and kudos to that. But the program is in a bad place. I mean, they're going on, I think, their fourth or fifth coach here in the last 15, 16 years. You can't afford to find that up in what's going on right now. Like, whatever they do, they're going to be hitting a hard reset button. If Mickey's able to stick around and is able to manage the talent and bring some players in, great. That's great. But I mean, whoever the coach is whoever it is. It's in theory. Like if they brought in a person where like, oh wow, that's a slam dunk, then I mean that person's going to bring in their own guys. So we'll see what happens. But I would be surprised if anyone other than Mickey was retained. But, then again, what do I know? We'll see.
So you've written about this, and let's talk about identity. And Saturday night is one of those games that the identity on the line of scrimmage, it reminds you how far Nebraska is away. And we focus a lot on the offensive line, and they definitely have their issues. But Sam, should we be talking more about the future on the defensive line? How far Nebraska is away from establishing an identity on the defensive line with what you could look at what would be back next year and where they're currently at?
Yeah, we could. Yes. No question about it. What are they going to have next? Well, Devin Drew won't be there because this is his last year. Caleb Tanner won't be there. And these are defensive linemen. I mean, Caleb Tanner is not a defensive lineman, but he plays on the defensive line. So I don't know. Stephon Wynn will probably be back. I always side. People are like, "Oh, there's going to be 50 people that leave the team." I'm like, life in Nebraska is pretty good when a kid gets there. I mean, they treat you really well. There's a reason that Mark Whipple said the phrase "somewhat privileged." So I bet against a lot of guys leaving because it's like, I think they look around and are like, "Man, we win. We beat Indiana and Rutgers, and we're like kings." So, a coach, by the way, the next coach has got to change that culture.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of those guys will stick around, but I mean, it's clearly not good enough. I think you don't have great defensive linemen against the run, edge rushers. So the edge rushers have not. Caleb's probably the best of them. I think he plays the edge the best. But the other edge rushers I would describe as the kind of run defenders that you see at Iowa or Illinois or Michigan. They're just not very good, and they jump inside gaps too often and get turned. You're going to see that against Illinois too. I mean, you're going to see some pin downs and some pulls. If Luke Reimer and Nick Henrich can't play, they're going to be pulling around to Edavamaga Clements and Ernest Hausman, who hasn't done this that much, and you're going to see an alley all the way to North State. I mean, they just don't play the run very well. You have to get players in the program who will do that, and so they're a ways away. They just are. Their run defense is bad, and there were things that the previous defense covered up thanks to JoJo Domann and a few other guys. And then Damian Daniels could push and break the line of scrimmage and do some good things there. And Ben Stilley was a much better player than some of the guys they're playing right now. But this has been true for many years now, really since Malik Collins and Vincent Valentine left the building. Or maybe even that second year, they just haven't been very good against the run. And so they've got to find a way to get better and bigger defensive linemen, more athletic, more guys like Ty Robinson, and then they got to unleash a guy like Ty Robinson better than they have. It's the hardest position to recruit. The best players in the country the best teams in the country have the best players at those positions, with maybe the exception of Tennessee, right? Because Tennessee doesn't really stop anybody. But a lot of these teams, they have those guys, and that's what makes them good. And you have to find a way to recruit them, and that's the hardest thing to do.
Sam, speaking of the running game, obviously that was one of the biggest frustrations from that Purdue loss. I think a lot of people expected Aiden O'Connell to throw the ball around a lot. I don't think people expected Maccabee to run all over the Nebraska defense. With that in mind, how concerned are you over these next few games where you're going to see teams that, Illinois, Minnesota, Michigan, that are significantly better in that area than Purdue was coming in?
Concerned. No, it's going to help to be a little rested for Illinois. The bye week will help them. Obviously, Luke Reimer getting back will help because that doesn't help you when he's out, and he's probably the best player on the defense. So you can't underplay his absence. It's not good. We don't need to get into the weeds of how Minnesota runs the ball, but I think Nebraska might be able to be a little better against Minnesota. But Illinois has got all the tricks in the bag. I mean, they can run it any which way you want. And they've got a good run game. and they'll run to the edges. They did it last year against Nebraska. They'll go back to the tape and say, "Well, let's just turn these guys, and we'll run outside the tackle, and they probably won't be able to stop us because they can't flow very well, and their safeties don't hit the alleys very well." Michigan, I mean, you don't even want to think about it. What they can do up there. I mean, Michigan just went for 415, 418 on Penn State. Michigan's offensive line is a work of art. So, I mean, Nebraska could give up 300 or 400 up there. It's a challenge. I mean, it's just challenging the way that these teams do it. Purdue's got a nice scheme. What's interesting about Purdue's run game is if they really wanted to run the ball, like really, really, they'd be good at it. Because they have a good scheme, and they don't really. I mean, they use it as an accent. In this particular game, they ran it, I think, 37 times, which was, I think, 12 more times than Nebraska. So the two teams have kind of switched places. And again, this is probably how Nebraska has to play. This is how Mark Whipple has built the call game. And they've got a receiver that is, Bob Hayes. He can just run by everybody. So, I mean, you do what you got to do. But I was personally surprised at how Purdue was playing defense. I'm like, what are you doing? Cover the guy.
Yeah.
They weren't even really covering him that well.
They had no idea where number 3 was the whole game.
No.
Even when he didn't have the ball in his hands.
Yeah, it wasn't very good. Like, I was like, okay, this is fun. But, Purdue's just really not covering him very well. I mean, on the one long touchdown, they had single coverage, and he was in press coverage. And I'm like, this guy is not going to cover Palmer there. And so there was just things that I think, now let's be clear. The number 1 pass efficiency defense in the country is Illinois. So it'll look different against Illinois. The number 2 pass defense in the country efficiency-wise is Iowa. The number 4 is Michigan. So any idea that Trey Palmer has played the best defenses this far is not true. He's going to be playing the very best here over the next month and a half, and I think it'll be harder for him, but he can run by just about anybody. So you got to think he's going to get a couple of more deep balls. But it's no way to live, and I don't think Nebraska long term wants to be a program that operates like a Big 12 team in the Big 10. They just tried that with Scott Frost, and it didn't work.
I think the next 3 weeks, beginning right now with the bye week, are important to this team because they get the second bye week during a coaching change to kind of refresh, maybe do a couple of different things, and then they're at home for 2 games. I mean, their schedule has taken them all over the place. So regardless of the competition, they're at least at home over the next 3 weeks. They don't have to get on a plane. They don't have to travel halfway across the country. So there are things that they will work on, and most importantly, get some guys healthy because they need Reimer back. I think Henrich is going to fall to the Purdue turf monster again. Like it seems like every year Nebraska goes over there, somebody gets injured. But there's the part of the offense that I'm curious to see coming out of the bye week. What do you think they do against some stellar run defenses from here on out? They've got to run the football. You just can't say, hey, Casey, throw it 60 times. Trey, can you catch 20 passes? They got to find a way to run the football at least to keep people honest or to try and do something. How do you think they look moving forward in the last 5 running the football? How they attempt to run the football?
That's a good question because they don't have a lot in the family of run plays. Like they have some, but Purdue is more diverse. So I think you certainly can try to use your big guys and kind of lean on a team, and that's usually zone run because it's kind of a massive humanity. You can do some kind of double teams and maybe a light pull play. They're not a great movement line. So, you can't do some of the things that maybe you would like to do that you did with Cam Jurgens last year. They were doing some neat stuff last year with kind of like a quick trap where Cam would trap somebody and they'd run it almost like a fullback, but it wasn't. They were doing that last year, but they don't have that guy. Cam's not 17 yards downfield. That Trent Hickson isn't that. So, there's maybe some things they could do. I think the part of the challenge is that Casey is really not a triple option or a read option guy, although I think he's better than they give him credit for.
So you'd have to bring another quarterback in for that. And you know, I don't know that they want to do that. It doesn't appear that they want to do that. I think Whipple likes to do what he likes to do, and that's throw the football and throw the football deep. By the way, it's not a controlled passing game; it's a dynamic passing game. And so, you know, I think that's a good question. I mean, because I think they have to decide what runs they're good at, and then B, what they want to add to that package against. You know, two really good defenses. Now, Minnesota's defense, I don't think it's quite as good as Illinois' defense, but you never know. And it's fair to say, neither one of those teams up to this point, Minnesota faced Purdue. Purdue's passing offense is better than Nebraska's, but Purdue doesn't have Trey Palmer, so Minnesota's going to have to account for that. And Illinois is too. So you know, we'll see what happens. Minnesota really made Aiden O'Connell look bad, though. And I don't know that Casey Thompson's going to have some really tough sledding these next 2 weeks because the teams they're playing have good pass rushes and they have good defensive backs. So good luck.
Yeah. Hey, Sam, as always, we appreciate it. Thank you. Enjoy, hopefully, a quiet week.
Yeah, I think it will be. Take care.
Hey, thanks. Sam McEwen of the World Herald. So, Illinois gives up about 78 yards per game on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
I got a 36-year-old defensive coordinator. Illinois controls the line of scrimmage. Minnesota, though, kind of on the heels of what Sam was saying about Minnesota, who they could lose 3 in a row. They play at Penn State. Talk about who needs a victory more, Fleck to avoid a 3-game losing streak or Franklin coming off the beatdown against Michigan.
Yeah.
Minnesota's rush defense, and it probably now is you rewind to the beginning of the season and you look at their schedule and go, okay, might have been the competition. Purdue got them for 166.
Yeah.
Illinois, Chase Brown had a monster game. Got him for 222.
Mm-hmm.
So, after you get past Illinois, do you have a better chance to run against Minnesota? But next up, I don't know how Nebraska's going to run the football. I don't know with success unless it is a lot of smoke and mirrors to get Anthony Grant in space or whatever you do. If you run Yant, who now is not built like a fullback, you got to do something. And one other point that Sam made about Casey Thompson. I think Casey Thompson could run if that's what they wanted him to do. But I think at this point, they're like, no, we don't need him running. And so we're not going to. So when he does, everyone is shocked. And I don't think, his physical condition, they say all of a sudden, yeah, we know you can run. Let's just do it now. So they're in a real conundrum in terms of running the football because they don't have a line. They don't have 5 guys up front that do just line up and they're going to get you 4. They're going to get you 5 every single snap.
Yeah. I mean, there's multiple problems when it comes to running the football if you're Nebraska. Number one, your offensive line is bad and is not beating anyone, right? You're not winning the line of scrimmage. So you can't use their pretty rudimentary running plays that work if you've got a good line of scrimmage or if you've got a good offensive line to win the line of scrimmage. Second, even if Casey Thompson is pretty mobile, as you mentioned, he's so beat up that it'd be irresponsible to make him a heavy part of the running game at this point, right? I mean, I don't think they can do that. It's borderline irresponsible not to get him into better situations, passing the ball. But it'd be really irresponsible to put him into, hey, we need you to run the ball 12 times a game also. So that's problem number 2. Problem number 3, and we touched on this a little bit yesterday, is, and Sam touched on this as well, there's really no creativity in the run game play calling. It's pretty standard meat and potatoes, like in between the tackles with Anthony Grant. You mentioned the smoke and mirrors. We really haven't seen that since Scott Frost has left, right? We haven't seen
his running concepts were really good.
Yes,
I mean they were that way the entire 5 years here as a play designer.
And it's okay to admit that he was good at certain things, right? Obviously, there were things that he wasn't good at, and that's why
I don't think you have to apologize. He was.
Yeah, there's that's why he's not the head coach anymore. But there were things that he was really good at, and the run game concepts was one of them. That has been sorely missing since he left, which is weird because you'd think it would still be in the playbook, but that's another discussion for another day. But the fact that they really don't have it seemingly in their bag anymore, the ability to scheme open an Anthony Grant into space, or, we saw Trey Palmer get a carry. What I think they're going to have to do is get away from the traditional run game, not abandon it completely, but they're not getting much headway with the traditional run game. They're going to have to do some other things, whether it's some wide receiver runs with Trey Palmer, whether it's getting Anthony Grant into space in other ways, whether it's using short passing game to kind of simulate a run type offense, or at least a little bit of ball control. That's the part that has been the most surprising to me, is with a pass happy guy. And I know he likes to take his shots downfield, but even with guys that like to take their shots downfield, usually there's some level of comfort getting into the short passing game a little bit to keep the defense honest. That's the part that I expected to be there with Whipple that's been completely missing.
There's the part of moving forward with whatever identity Nebraska has in 23 and beyond is look at how many teams, and it's a direct correlation. If you have success running the football, what do you usually have on the other side of the ball? Not all the time, but kind of in the Big Ten. If you're able to run the ball successfully, what do you usually have on the other side of the ball?
Usually pretty quality run defense.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
because you're probably going against each other day after day after day.
Also, it's not directly correlated, but if you can recruit and develop offensive line, you're probably okay at recruiting and developing defensive line. Like usually they kind of go hand in hand. If you're good at developing line play, it's both sides of the line.
Yeah. I almost feel more comfortable in 23 with what I know that's coming back than I do. I feel more comfortable on the offensive line than I do on the defensive line. I'm really worried about the defensive line moving forward. You're going to have to portal it again.
Yeah. So at least with the offense,
you have some guys that, Ty Robinson still has eligibility, but there's other guys that probably never going to play here, or guys that have been here that you still don't know anything about. I mean, Mosai Newsome snuck into the game for like a handful of plays the other night. I mean, I thought he disappeared, and he, you can't be that long in your career and only play 5 plays in the middle of a season.
Yeah, at least on the offensive line, you have the hope of, okay, maybe we get a healthy Teddy Prohaska next year. Maybe, hopefully Newilly is back and healthy and able to contribute. You've got a lot of these guys that are struggling right now. If you've got those guys, you can move Corcoran inside and you've got a solution there maybe. I know Ben Hart has gotten a ton of flack and rightfully so at certain positions, but if you move him inside, maybe that's a more manageable spot for him to be successful. Now you do have to find a center, but maybe Latovsky. We talked to Rob Zachka yesterday. He said Latovsky's got a lot of the tools you would like in a guy like that. Maybe if he slims down a little bit under the next strength and conditioning coach, he's able to flourish a little bit. At least you've got some bodies on the offensive line, as bad as they've been, and I've been as critical of them as anyone. At least you've got some bodies to give you options, and you've got some guys coming back next year that you have a certain level of comfort with. The defensive line, you're in a bad way. You don't have guys there that you have really any kind of comfort level with. It's really hard to get freshman impact guys on that line. It's really hard to get transfer impact guys on that line, as we've seen. They're going to have to figure something out on that defensive line, and I don't know what it is.
All right, coming up a little bit later, Brian Christopherson will stop by. We got Andy Kendi as well. The NBA kicks off today. We back, says the NBA. 2 games on the docket. We'll give our thoughts on what's going to happen. As Ravi told you earlier, he thinks his Golden State Warriors will be dethroned. That's okay.
I don't think I actually said that.
I'll go back and listen to the podcast. I think it's up on the radio replay page. I kid because I care. There's Ravi Jimmy here as well. It's 1620 The Zone. Hey, coming up a week from Saturday, now the kickoff is set 2:30. Ooh, under the lights of Mother Nature. A Big Ten West showdown between Nebraska and Illinois. The Fighting Illini are going to roll into town. They're going to be ranked. There's a lot of people talking about Brett Bielema, midseason coach of the year in the Big Ten. They're already bowl eligible. Could Nebraska get to their 4th victory? Well, you want to be there, don't you? Well, Tickets for Less has your game day covered once again when Nebraska and Illinois meet at Memorial Stadium next Saturday. Go to ticketsforless.com to shop the best selection of Husker tickets for every game, all at the lowest prices with no per-ticket fees on any order. That's right. A lot of you went to the Chiefs game and you said, I went to ticketsforless.com because there were no per ticket fees plus the great selection. You could save money, big money, compared to the other sites on all the events you love. Plus, check out all the shows that are coming to town, including Luke Combs. Luke Combs is coming in a couple of weeks. Go to ticketsforless.com, shop now, and save on your Husker seats and much more.
For the Jays, the Huskers, and even you Jayskers, we are 1620 The Zone.
Hey everyone, Josh Peterson here for my friends at Miracle Hill Golf and Tennis. Get this date marked on your calendar, Sunday, October the 23rd, because that is the date for their 4-person fall scramble. Only $300 for you and 3 others. You'll, of course, get the Golf the Cart tee gift prizes. You'll get fed lunch and more. It will be an 11 a.m. shotgun start. Sign up today at their website, miraclehillgolf.com/store. They're located just north of Dodge on 120th Street. Miracle Hill Golf and Tennis.
It's Halloween at Genesis Health Clubs. Join with no enrollment, no contract, and save 20% per month every month. It may be the spookiest time of year, but starting a new fitness routine doesn't have to be scary. Genesis Health Clubs has top-of-the-line equipment and the absolute best personal trainers, tennis professionals, and group fitness instructors to keep you motivated and headed toward your fitness goals. Plus, relax in luxury after with saunas, steam rooms, and fluffy towel service at most locations. Genesis is here to help every step of the way. There's nothing scary about that. This Halloween, join Genesis Health Clubs with no enrollment, no contract, and save 20% per month every single month. But hurry, this offer will end before you have a chance to count your Halloween candy. It ends on Halloween and won't extend. Come to Genesis and get in the best shape of your life so you can handle anything those zombies, werewolves, and vampires throw at you. Plus, get your New Year's resolutions checked off with time to spare. Go to GenesisHealthClubs.com before Halloween to get no enrollment, no contract, and save 20% per month every month.
Would you rather that your roof or siding last 5 years or 50 years? I'm Dan Thompson of Thompson & Thompson 3rd Generation. Products today last much longer. Gone are the days of just tear shingles off, nail shingles on. Whether it's impact resistant, high wind tolerance, or in the case of EuroShield hail-proof rubber shingles, you can have great designer looks and durability. At Thompson & Thompson 3rd Generation, we don't just give you an estimate. We educate you and give you options. So you decide, 5 or 50. Click Thompson 3rd today and start enjoying your new roof or siding.
If COVID taught us anything, it's that local matters. Local shops, local restaurants, even locally brewed beers. October is Drink Local Month. So the Nebraska Craft Brewers Guild is challenging beer, seltzer, and cider drinkers like you to put your palate through its paces and drink local brews. Because seriously, Nebraska is really on the cutting edge when it comes to brewers who think outside the box. And besides, you really want to be drinking what they drink over in Iowa? Didn't think so. Click drinklocalnebraska.com.
When cancer hits home, when you need answers and hope, turn to Nebraska Medicine, where cancer care is world-leading and personal. In one visit, you'll meet with the team specializing in your cancer, discover treatments based on your DNA, and the support that makes a difference, like a nurse case manager and multiple locations, so you can always be close to home. For cancer, this is where you begin. Visit nebraskamed.com/cancer.
Home is with you wherever that may be.
Tip off the NBA season with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. New customers get $150 in free bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. All you have to do is use promo code HAPPER at signup. Here's another kicker. All customers get 3 months of NBA League Pass when they make a $5 bet on the NBA, courtesy of FanDuel. That's a pretty good deal. Then you could watch all the action as you bet on anything and everything, from the money line to the point spreads to the totals to season-long props. Take the Denver Nuggets to win the West. Best of all, you get your winnings paid instantly. Don't miss your chance to get $150 in free bets plus 3 months of League Pass with promo code HAPPER. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NBA. 21 plus and present in Iowa. New customers, first online real money wager only. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable free bets that expire in 14 days. Existing customers, $5 NBA wager required. Limit 1 pass per customer across both offers. Restrictions apply. Void where prohibited. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-BETS-OFF. NBA League Pass. Total blackout restrictions apply.
1620 The Zone.
All right, we have baseball. The rarity today. The ALDS comes to an end with rain yesterday in the Bronx. So game 5 between the Indians I'll be $1. Guardians.
Put it in the jar.
Yeah. See, I almost said the San Diego Chargers earlier, but I caught myself. So we have the Guardians and the Yankees, and Nestor Cortez gets to pitch for the Yankees. MLB made everyone sit around, buy concessions, pay for parking, all of that stuff, then bang the game.
Yeah, we appreciate that, MLB.
So you have that, and then you have the Padres and the Phillies. I will take the Padres in 6. Harper against Machado. Remember when they were both up for free agency?
Yeah, they were the same year, right?
Yep.
They both got Machado signed first, and then Harper waited forever because Drew wanted him to get the biggest contract, right? So he just structured it really weird and gave him $1 million years, so he had more money than Machado.
Yeah, when they were both 26 years old in 2018.
Yeah.
So they've they're both been under the watchful eye. Who would you take, Harper or Machado? I think I would take Manny Machado, and I will take, because I have faith for some weird reason that you will get the Blake Snell vintage Tampa Bay Ray in this series, and him and Darvish will be able to hold off Nola and Wheeler. I got San Diego in 6, and Slam Diego will be going to the World Series.
Yeah, I kind of lean San Diego there as well. I like them. I just have kind of liked them. I think they have a ton of talent on that roster, so it's not a stretch for me at all to go San Diego there. Machado or Harper? I think I'd go Machado there, as if I'm taking my Red Sox fandom out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not like Bryce Harper is the most likable guy on the planet either, so that helps as well. But I think I'd probably go Machado.
Manny had a monster year. So did Harper. I mean, they both had great years, and both are having great postseasons. So they will both be the megastars in this series. All right, 2 more hours to go. Next hour, we'll talk some NBA, more on what happened last night between the Broncos and the Chargers, if we have to.
I mean, do we?
Whatever happened in that. Plus, as I teased, we didn't get to, I was going to ask Sam, and then we kind of ran out of time. Something's happening at Wisconsin that hasn't happened at Nebraska. Is that a bonus for Mickey? We'll do all that in the next 2 hours of 1620 The Zone in the mornings.
Live from the Host Coffee Studio, this is 1620 The Zone. 1620 The Zone. Traffic.
From the Burton AC Heating, Plumbing, and More Time-Saving Traffic Center. We have no accidents to report at this time, but you can expect some significant delays from 192nd to 183rd along Center. Then along Industrial Road, be prepared for some significant slowdowns from 149th to 138th. And northbound along the JFK, be prepared for some delays near 25th and Q Street to Chandler Road. As always, remember to stay safe and wear your seatbelts. I'm Chris Scott. This time-saving traffic is brought to you by Saul's Jewelry and Loan.
Everyone knows Saul's pays top dollar for your gold, but Saul's pays cash on the spot for your precious metals too. Silver, gold, platinum, coins, bars. Who wants to wait to get paid? Get to Saul's Jewelry and Loan.
Saul's Jewelry and Loan. You'll find it all at Saul's Jewelry.
With some big-time events coming up, including the Luke Combs concert at the CHI Health Center right here in Omaha, October 28th and 29th. Be sure to check out my friends at TicketsForLess.com. It's not all about sports. It's about shows, and it's also about finding the best tickets at TicketsForLess.com. So whether you want to see the pageantry at Memorial Stadium on a Saturday, catch a game at Arrowhead Stadium, Tickets for Less is your source for the best tickets. Also, without those crazy per-ticket fees you'll pay on other sites, trust me, you'll keep going back to TicketsForLess.com. Compare and save the day at TicketsForLess.com.
Hey, Olivia, what do you think when you think of Jones Bros Cupcakes and Cafe?
I think, can we go now?
Jones Bros is famous for award-winning cupcakes. Our cafe is delicious for breakfast and lunch, too.
Try French macarons.
And our light bulb boba drinks.
And our ice cream.
And our coffee and lattes.
And our croissant donuts.
We cater, too. Come see us at Jones Bros Cupcakes and Cafe in Exarban Village.
Come on, let's go.
Marvin Windows has long been known for their lasting value and beauty. Carp's Complete Home Exteriors is Omaha's first authorized Marvin Windows replacement contractor. For a free estimate, call Carp's Complete Home Exteriors or visit carpsomaha.com.
MD West One's team of neurosurgical spine specialists is the largest and most advanced in the greater Omaha metro. MD West One has been voted the #1 private practice and #1 in neurosurgery and spine by Best of Omaha year after year. They can help if you're suffering from recurring neck and back pain, weakness or numbness in your extremities, sciatica pain, or any other recurring issue stemming from your neck or back. Go to mdwest1.com to meet the spine team at MD West One.
I always wanted to learn Spanish, but I never thought I'd have the time. Then I discovered Babbel.
Babbel's lessons are fun. They only take like 10 or 15 minutes, and in 3 weeks, presto, you're speaking another language. Like magic.
I love that Babbel's lessons aren't just robots talking. They're voiced by native speakers, so you get the pronunciation just right. And they're designed by real language teachers, so you learn how to have real-world conversations, things you'll actually use.
3 weeks. It's incredible. After 3 weeks, I'm on vacation in Paris, having a conversation in French.
There's all kinds of ways to learn. Use Babbel's podcasts or games or videos. You can even join live classes with a language teacher.
If you want to learn a language, there's no faster, easier, better way than
Babbel.
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 Babbel. Évidemment.
Go to Babbel.com to try for free. That's BABBEL.com. Babbel.com.
Shop Woodhouse Place Hyundai and Nissan, 144th and Giles. KOZN, Bellevue, Omaha, Council Bluffs.
Halftime brought to you by Hearth Cigars and Pipes Lounge, just off 680 and 48th Street, next to Cubby's. That's Hearth Cigars and Pipes Lounge.
Very professional radio voice.
Yeah, he's got the PA voice I don't have.
You ever done PA, Jimmy? Jimmy's done a lot of play-by-play. Have you ever done PA?
A long time ago, but nothing recently.
Yeah, I don't have the play-by-play, the PA voice. I don't have. That's not in my bag.
You could maybe pull off the PA voice.
I mean, I'm no Lawrence Tanter, the longtime legendary PA voice of the Lakers, but who is?
No, Alan Roach, who is famous now.
Those are
Super Bowl. He used to be on KOA in Denver. He was doing the Broncos sidelines, but people were so confused by the voice because he's got that big. He's the PA guy for the Super Bowl now, but he does.
He used to do Broncos games, too.
He used to be at the Rockies.
Yeah.
I think he's just down to the Avalanche and the Nuggets. But he's at US Bank Stadium now.
Okay, yeah.
They hired him up there to do the PA.
Yeah, I've got more of the color commentator voice, just a little bit of flavor, not the radio pro voice the way you two got over there.
West Side, and because those are the two most recent games I was at. West Side and the gentleman that was the PA voice for Papillion La Vista do a really, really nice job.
Yeah, there's some quality PA guys around the metro.
I would like to do football PA.
Yeah, you said that you've given an open invitation to volunteer.
Yeah. Like a freshman or sophomore game on a Saturday morning. I'll come and do the PA.
Nobody's taking you up on that yet?
Nope, because PA people get very territorial.
Oh, sure.
Like Nate Rohr goes down, I'm there. And Nate's like, no. Nate could sound like me trying to overcome a cold and be like, no, I'm doing the game.
It's like, I'm good. Don't worry about
it. Oh, yeah. PA people, very territorial.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
Oh.
I didn't know that was a thing.
Oh, yeah.
Interesting.
I get to do PA for Omaha baseball.
Yeah.
I go there and have a good time.
Yeah.
I'm very animated. Probably say some things I shouldn't say. I just, I don't know. Sometimes I don't follow the script. And so people are like, but I don't say anything inflammatory.
Sure.
I welcome people and, you make fun of other Summit League cities.
Kind of like we
But people will be like, oh, hey, man, I know you're doing the game. I'll make sure that I, do a good job on Sunday. And I'm like, I don't care. I mean, I just fly in and do the PA. I'm not territorial, but PA people are very territorial.
Interesting.
I think it's a union.
It's the PA union.
Hey, speaking of local, before we talk college and then NBA, yesterday ESPN put out their rankings for girls basketball. So the highest ranked player ever in the state of Nebraska when it comes to girls basketball was Jess Shepard.
Mm-hmm.
Ravi, before you knew me, I gave one of the hottest takes on this radio station about Jess Shepard.
What was
When
that?
she was at Fremont. By the way, ESPN had her number 3 in the country in 2015.
Okay.
Went on to play at Nebraska, went to Notre Dame, now in the WNBA. I said that she could hold her own against boys.
Okay.
Oh, Damon and I got at it.
Yeah.
This lasted like a year. Okay. He would just randomly bring it up. Like it'd be the middle of the summer. She'd be getting ready to go to Nebraska and he'd just bring it up. So that was like, people were like, oh, what are you talking about? I said, have you seen her play? Well, I won't say the same thing about this young lady because I've seen her play numerous times. But Britt Prince is top 10 in the class of 24 in the ESPN rankings, the Elkhorn North Star.
Yeah.
Who, for some, it seems like she's been in high school forever.
It does, yeah.
For some, she's still got 2 more years. So good luck to everybody here in the Metro. But she is top 10, and she's being recruited by everybody.
Are you prepping me for a hot take on Britt Prince?
No.
Okay.
I saved that one. I got Jess Shepard in. I give them a hot take that she could hold her own against boys. People crush me.
What?
Then I was like, go watch her play.
Did you give a context of what level, or just in like high school to high school?
High school to high school.
Yeah, I think that's probably.
People are like, nope, not going to happen.
Yeah, I think high school to high school, that probably makes sense.
I was pretty confident, never back down. That's 7 years later.
There's I start to have trouble when they say somebody from like the WNBA would succeed in the NBA because there's just such a physical size difference there.
I was going high school to high school.
But high school to high school, I think you can make an argument.
Yeah.
There's a lot of like 5'9" point guards in boys high school basketball. And Jess Shepard is not that. So, you can make an argument.
I think someone brought up, I think it was Kyrie Thomas and her about the same time in 15.
He would have been, that's about right.
So someone's like, there's no way that she could guard Kyrie. And Kyrie would dunk the ball over her and make her cry. And I said, have you met Jess Shepard?
Also, taking the best player in high school boys basketball and using that as an example when you said she could hold her own is not the same thing.
See, I'm glad you caught hold her own.
That's not the same thing.
People miss that phrase that I use.
Well, people aren't super good with nuance sometimes. Like we were having like I mentioned yesterday, we were having the offensive line discussion, and I said, and again, I'm leaning on Rob Zatchka's expertise here. It was a multi-year fix. And they're like, oh, they could be better next year. I was like, yeah, they could be better next year. I said fix. There's a difference between improve and fix, right? When I say fix, what does it come to your mind?
Things are back to what they should be.
Yeah, it's a every year in and out. You have some level of confidence that there's going to be a productive and good offensive line. Improvement from where they're at now is just not being actively destructive to your football team. That is a very low bar to clear. So yes, they could be improved next year, but having it fixed is a multi-year process. I just watched it happen at Florida State, where it's easier to recruit and you have a ton of people to recruit from, and they were coming from a better place than Nebraska has. And it's taken them about 4 to 6 years to get it back on track. Now, they did have a Willie Taggart excursion in the middle there that made it worse before it got better. But that's been the biggest struggle for Mike Norvell in his first 4 years as head coach or 3 years as head coach, is getting the offensive line back to a functional level. It is a difficult thing and a lengthy process to go from a bad offensive line where Nebraska is right now to having a consistent level of confidence in that unit.
Happer tweets at us about PA guys. One of the best is Bob Casey, the late Bob Casey, who used to be the PA voice for the Minnesota Twins at the Metrodome.
Okay.
And even before that, I think he was at the old Met. But Bob Casey would sit behind home plate. He wasn't like up in the press box. His PA booth was right behind home plate.
Interesting.
But his big thing was Cubby Puckett. But I got this from him and I still use it. His tagline when he would be going through the pregame introductions and then, things you can and can't do in the Metrodome. His would be, no smoking in the Metrodome. No smoking in the Metrodome. That was like his tagline. And so I've taken that and I've said, no smoking in blank unless you're on fire.
Well,
and then
sure,
you should contact a usher for assistance.
I think that's the right call.
Yeah. Bob Casey was fantastic. I'll share that with you so you can listen to it.
Yeah, that would be great.
Earlier this morning in New York City, it is Big East Media Days. Creighton, for the first time ever, preseason favorite in the Big East poll for the first time, and rightfully so.
Yeah,
there would have been more outrage. Creighton last year was 8th. There would have been more outrage if Creighton was not number 2. Now, surprisingly, Villanova is not number 2. Doesn't it seem like this is the opportunity, whether you're Creighton or, I don't know, a St. John's, a Providence, an Xavier, where Jay Wright's not there anymore. We don't know much about the new guy. There's still some pretty good talent, but more won't be back until the end of this calendar year. Whitmer, the talented freshman, not going to be available right away. So it seems like there's an opening in the Big East if you are not Villanova. For some teams that have not been at the upper echelon, they all of a sudden go, hey, all right, because you don't have the Jay Wright impact. That's what I'll be curious, like the tone in New York City today about the rest of the Big East, because Jay Wright kind of hovered over the league.
Oh, yeah.
So who does it impact? Creighton was going to be there no matter what.
Especially this year.
But does it impact like a St. John's who, all right, the roster has some familiar names, but then they have all these additions, and Mike Anderson is in his 4th year, and what's he ever going to do? Or the one thing about the Big East this year, and kudos on the Big East, look at the new coaches. I mean, there is a plethora of new coaches in the Big East this year.
Yeah, I was gonna go there with our guy at Xavier.
Sean Miller.
Yeah. That's the one I think this is the opportunity for more than anyone.
Seems like a better fit. He's back in a place where he's familiar with.
Yeah, and that's familiar with him, a place that likes him and is comfortable with him. And, he's kind of from that part of the country, Pennsylvania, Ohio, that kind of region. But
and he gets a second life.
He gets a second life. And here's the thing that I think he brings to Xavier. He's shown a pretty serious recruiting acumen, obviously at Arizona, whether legal or illegal, that's up for debate. But with NIL, a lot of the things he was doing, you can get approved now, right? I don't know what kind of collective Xavier has, but he brings a ton of spotlight and a ton of attention, and he's going to bring a ton of talent to Xavier. He, to me, is the guy that could take the most advantage outside of Creighton. Creighton's kind of been heading in that direction anyway. They've been on the upswing, but Xavier has an opportunity to maybe try and replace Villanova with the big time, big personality head coach and kind of this marquee program closer to a more traditional Big East school, maybe than Creighton is, even though they came in at the same time. That's the one that I look at and say, that's where the opportunity is. I don't really look at a Mike Anderson.
I'm wondering who fills that role. Like you could say Mac right away, but it seems to me with national college basketball media, they respect Mac. They talk about Mac, but they stop there. Where Jay Wright had a national championship and, I mean, has a run in March, and he's carried the banner for this version of the Big East. That who is the national darling in this league that the national college basketball media are attracted to, and they try and take to the level of Jay Wright? I mean, do they all of a sudden identify Dan Hurley, who important year for UConn? I mean, UConn did win 23 games last year, and he's going into year 5.
Yeah.
But you never go, hey, UConn has, which they do this year, preseason player of the year. And you talk a lot about UConn and go, man, they have this and this. But you never cross over with UConn and go, that's a team that's going to win the Big East.
Well,
you always say, they're going to be a good team. And you either say, but, or there's a long pause.
Yeah. So where I push back on a Dan Hurley is he's not a real personable guy. That's the thing about Jay Wright, is he had the success and he was very charismatic, right? He had the look, obviously, but he was an interesting guy to talk to. He was an interesting interview. He had a lot more to him than a Dan Hurley does. That's also, and this is not a knock on Greg McDermott, but he's slightly more reserved than a Jay Wright is. Jay Wright looked like he felt really, really comfortable in front of a camera. Like he looked like he ate that up and just kind of loved it, right? Whereas Mac, I don't know that he enjoys the spotlight to the same degree that Jay Wright did. Dan Hurley just always seems like he'd rather be cursing somebody out than doing whatever he's doing. I honestly, that's part of the reason I land on Sean Miller is because he's pretty familiar with the national spotlight for good and bad reasons. And I think he can be more personable. The other guy that I look at, there's a couple. Shaka Smart's been a national media darling at his previous spot before. So if he gets it rolling at Marquette, that's a guy that makes sense to me.
Can't beat Creighton.
Neither can Dan Hurley. So he's in good company. And then the other guy who got a ton of attention last year and is now at Seton Hall is Shaheen Holloway, who people really globbed onto with the St. Peter's run and really liked him and really liked the way he carried himself. I'm not convinced they're going to be good at Seton Hall under Shaheen Holloway, but if they are, that's another guy that I can see kind of becoming the national media darling of the Big East.
So Creighton, and you'll get some sound today from New York City as the Big East Media Days are going on, but Creighton, first time ever, preseason number 1, the day after they are the highest preseason that they've ever been, number 9. And there's a typical reaction, but I don't think overboard because most people expected them to be preseason top 10 or 9, 10, 11, somewhere in that range.
I would have been surprised if they were outside the top 10.
But you've been preparing for that.
Yeah, I think since last year when the way too early top 25 started coming out, people were in the mindset of this is a legitimate top 10 team coming back next year.
All right, we'll talk about the NBA because that starts tonight. Coming up in the next hour, Brian Christopherson from 24/7 will stop by. Nebraska on a bye week ahead of Illinois, and then the five game stretch to finish the regular season.
Oof.
That will also include a new head coach. Wow. Buckle up, everybody.
I mean, it could be fun or could be bumpy.
No, the football stuff could be bumpy.
The games are going to be bumpy. Yeah.
But then the
coaching search, that might be bumpy as well, too. We hope not, though.
A lot of national people have been quiet. I mean, Bruce Feldman had a passing note on Nebraska, but it's been pretty buttoned up. It has been very buttoned up.
Are you surprised? I mean, with Trev, that's exactly what I would have expected.
Yep.
Is 100% buttoned up. That kind of seems that's the brand, right?
And also the timing of you're still a month out.
Yes.
6 weeks out, maybe. That, guys, it's not the end of the year where there becomes the scramble.
Yeah.
That it has been very, very quiet.
I think if you start to hear anything, it'll be around November 1. That I think is when it starts to pick up a little bit.
I will go later. I think this will be quiet for a while.
Really?
Yeah. I think
because he's got to start talking to people soon, right?
Yeah, but they don't have to talk to anybody.
Yeah, but their representatives are going to because that's kind of what representatives do.
Yeah, but in terms of getting out, there's discussions going on now.
Right.
But it's all been hush-hush. I mean, this has been handled, considering the runway.
Yeah.
This has been handled really, really well in terms of, hey, we're doing this, but we're also focusing on 22, and we can let those guys that are running the football program do their job while we also do our job.
Yeah, I think it's
so that's a button down athletic director office that you're able to balance both of those to, hey, you don't worry about what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
Just take care of what you got to do, and we'll cross paths on a weekly basis.
I think one of probably the most shocking things, considering how leak prone the athletic department had been in the past, is that not only Trev, because you would expect this around Trev to be buttoned up, but that he's gotten the athletic department as a whole. And I don't know how many people are involved, but you have to imagine he's not the only person in the building that knows anything.
No, but your circle is small and your circle is familiar with you.
Yes. And the fact that the circle has kept a tight lid on everything, I think is a testament to the athletic department that Trev's put together.
All right. There's Robbie. There's Jimmy. I'm Gary. We're back with more after this. Woodhouse Buick GMC, located 119th and I, indoor controlled, climate controlled showroom, could take care of you. You're in the market to find that next truck. Oh, they'll take care of you. If you're looking for something that'll take care of you with a job, haul, towing, whatever you need, well, look to the Sierra 1500. It gives you everything you want in terms of power in the front, power in the back. Also, technology, large touchscreen. It's a comfortable ride as well. Take it for a test drive today. The Sierra 1500 can be found at Woodhouse Buick GMC 119th and I, or you can even see it online, where you can begin your journey at WoodhouseBuickGMC.com. Both places, the friendly and knowledgeable sales staff will take care of you to help you find a truck that fits your needs. Check them out. All the inventory in person can also be found online, 119th and I, or WoodhouseBuickGMC.com. Buick GMC, we are professional grade.
Mornings on 1620 The Zone is brought to you by MD West One Orthopedics, Neurosurgery, and Spine. Previously on Unsportsmanlike Conduct.
Number 1 team in the country in stop rate, Minnesota.
Oh boy, Nebraska uses them in a few weeks.
85%. Number 2, Michigan.
Oh, cool. They see them the week after they see Minnesota.
83%.
Very cool.
Number 4, Illinois.
Oh, awesome. They see them at the end of the month on the 29th.
81.5%. Have you looked at where Nebraska's ranked?
Yeah.
66. They're only one spot behind Oklahoma.
Unsportsmanlike Conduct with John Bishop and Josh Peterson. Weekdays 2 to 6 on 1620 The Zone. Your Omaha area forecast presented by Bellevue Berry and Pumpkin Ranch from the KETV Newswatch 7 Weather Center on 1620 The Zone.
The bright sunny skies will continue throughout your Tuesday, along with the unseasonably chilly temperatures. In Omaha, I'm tracking a high temperature of only 42 degrees. You add on a northwest wind, it could feel like the mid-30s through most of the day. For tonight, another cold one, clear skies, calm wind, an overnight low temperature of 19 degrees. I'm meteorologist Anthony Copeland for KETV News Watch 7.
Dingman's Collision Center. We would rather be the best than apologize for anything less.
1620 The Zone. Traffic.
From the Burden AC Heating, Plumbing, and More Time-Saving Traffic Center. We have a couple of accidents to report at this time, starting with one on 60th and Harrison, so please be cautious if you are in that area. And then we have another accident to report near 176th and Q, and we're also getting reports of a broken water main near 120th and Pacific, with ice being reported in the intersection, so please be cautious if you are in that area as well. As always, remember to stay safe and wear your seatbelts. I'm Chris Scott. This time-saving traffic was brought to you by Fernando's.
Come on, when was the last time you had your Fernando's fix? It doesn't get any better than lunch, dinner, carry-out, even catering from Fernando's. Get your Fernando's fix. 114th and Dodge, 75th and Pacific, and FernandosOmaha.com.
Creighton Sports Update.
Creighton Soccer returns to Omaha for some midweek Big East action. Men's soccer hosts Butler on Wednesday at 6:30, with women's soccer hosting the DePaul Blue Demons on Thursday at 6:30. Tickets are still available online at gocreighton.com/tickets. And that's your Creighton Sports Update.
1620 The Zone proudly supports Creighton Athletics.
With almost everything in life, you have choices. You can pick a lot, a little, or somewhere in the middle. So shouldn't there be an internet plan that's just as clever? One that allows you to add TV or home automation whenever. That's why Cox now offers flexible internet plans, giving you all the services you desire and nothing you don't require. Additional services can be added at then current regular rates. All services subject to residential customer service agreement and acceptable use policy found at cox.com/policies. Restrictions apply.
Acura of Omaha has more than 100 quality pre-owned vehicles, with most priced thousands below market value. Get our best price in just minutes at AcuraofOmaha.com. That's AcuraofOmaha.com.
Save up to 50% during 42 Degrees Pipes and Vaporizer sale, and it's going on right now at all 42 Degree locations. That's right, up to 50% off on the largest selection of pipes and vaporizers only at The Source. 42 Degrees.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Husker coverage on 1620 The Zone is presented by Tickets for Less. Tickets for Less is your local source for Nebraska football tickets. Compare and save today at ticketsforless.com. All the Nebraska football news, stories, experts, and coverage you need is on 1620 The Zone.
Great party.
Thanks. Can I get you something to drink?
I'd love a cocktail, but I don't want to trouble you.
No trouble at all. I have a Bartesian.
A Bartesian?
The Bartesian home cocktail maker. It's like a coffee maker for cocktails. It freshly mixes your favorite spirits with a cocktail capsule to create the perfect drink every time.
What's in the capsule?
All the premium juices, bitters, extracts, and mixers for the drink of your choice.
Wow. I'll have a margarita, please.
Coming right up. Your margarita.
This drink is perfection.
Get premium cocktails at the push of a button with the Bartesian cocktail maker. And with over 50 drinks to choose from, like Cosmos, Old Fashions, Martinis, and much more, everyone gets their favorite drink. And right now, buy a Bartesian and get your first 6 cocktails free when you go to Bartesian.com/drinks. Go to BARTESIAN.com/drinks for your free cocktails. That's Bartesian.com/drinks.
Gas furnace owners, we cannot stress enough how important it is to have that furnace inspected before winter. Carbon monoxide is dangerous and undetectable without a monitor. McCarthy's 1 Hour Heating and Air can help. Join the McCarthy's Comfort Club and get a twice annual inspection of your furnace and AC, plus discounts on repairs and priority service, all for one low monthly fee. Stay healthy, safe, and warm this winter with McCarthy's 1 Hour Heating and Air. McCarthy's, always on time or you don't pay a dime. McCarthy's1hour.com.
Join Genesis Health Clubs for 36 cents for their 36th anniversary and get the rest of the year free.
1620 The Zone.
All right, if you're wondering, for anybody that was thinking about hopping in line to be the Memorial Stadium PA announcer, Nate Rohr has said he'd have to be dead not to make a Husker game.
So you might be waiting a while.
Well, I'm still trying to figure out how that would all work.
What's that?
If Nate was dead.
Well, I think somebody else would have to call the game then.
He said, I implied that even if he was dead, he'd be doing the game. Right, that's amazing.
It would be like a Weekend at Bernie's situation with the PA.
Well, there was so the Memorial Stadium PA job, there was a stretch of a month. What was that 2015?
Okay.
No, it was earlier than that. It had what was the month where they had Patrick Combs, John Schutz, and Lane Grindle?
Oh, that's right.
Were all the PA announcer at Memorial Stadium.
Yeah, I don't remember when that was.
Because you had, when I first started going to Nebraska games, older gentleman, I think his first name was Phil, but I always remember that in the announcements, he would tell people where the bathrooms were. Located in section 111.
It's important information to have.
Yeah. 2015 is when we had 3 PA announcers due to different circumstances.
Sure.
So you had him. That's all I remember is that he told people where the bathrooms were. They are located underneath section 11, section 111. Then there was Rick Schwieger, now Rick Allen, on your NASCAR viewing. Then they went, did they go from Schwiegs to Patrick? I think they did.
Yeah.
And then to John Schutz, Lane Grindle, and then Nate Rohr.
There you go.
I think if I have that right, that is my history of the PA announcers at Memorial Stadium.
Well, you're not going to get any questioning from me because I couldn't have named any of them.
I feel bad for you because at Creighton basketball games, you got to put up with Jake Ryan. How does he still have a job? I kid. I'm sure when I see him tomorrow,
I was going to say he'll give you a little.
Yes. All right, the NBA begins tonight. Speaking of PA guys, the Detroit Pistons old PA announcer was fantastic. Rasheed Wallace.
You get a lot of
Thank you.
You get a lot of run with NBA PA guys. They have kind of a
they're entertainers.
Yeah. They're more prominent than some other sports.
Phil Sprague, the pride of Beatrice, like Nate.
There you go.
Yeah. Okay, so the NBA starts tonight. Jimmy was alluding to the great deep voice of the Lakers PA announcer, but most everybody else is like an entertainer.
Yeah.
Not everybody can be Ray Clay, the former Bulls announcer.
Yes.
Who, when you know a PA guy or gal by their first name, that is saying something. And the Pistons PA announcer, the Bulls announcer, most of them you know by their first name. We alluded to Bob Casey.
Yeah.
Mike McCarthy is the PA announcer for the Royals. He's got a very distinctive voice. So distinctive that when you meet him away from the K, you're like, wow, okay. because he used to come to a lot of UMKC basketball games.
Oh, okay.
And he'd
sure.
sit courtside, and I would hear his voice, and I'm like, that's the PA guy. But the NBA starts tonight. There are 2 games going on tonight. You get Philadelphia and Boston. The Celtics Bill Russell jerseys are fantastic.
Oh, they're
that
incredible.
wearing tonight. They will not have their head coach,
Well, they'll have a head coach.
but not their head coach.
Yeah. Ime Udoka, not going to be there this year at all.
They're playing a Philadelphia team that a lot of people think that Embiid has the makings with the best roster that he's had in Philadelphia to be the MVP. I like the over. They got 51.5 wins. I go over. I'm also going over on the Clippers.
Okay.
I'm going under on my Miami Heat, 48.5, because I did not have a very good offseason.
Okay.
But you have Philadelphia and Boston, and then you have the Lakers tonight, which their win total is 44.5.
It's too high. That's too high.
Again, the most at stake of any player in the NBA this year, in my opinion, is Anthony Davis. I mean, it's 1 of 82, but we'll overreact tomorrow after the Lakers and Golden State play.
If Anthony Davis doesn't turn it around this year, his time as an impactful NBA star might be over because he's not getting any younger. And with his injury history and the history of big men after the age of 30, if they start declining, they don't bounce back up.
Yep.
That's just what happens. And so he would be the first one, basically in NBA history, to start declining and rebound from it. So I'm not putting my money there. So you're right. It's a huge year for Anthony Davis.
All right, your top 4 in the East?
East, I think Milwaukee's your number 1 seed. I go Milwaukee, Boston, Philly. And I don't love this, but I think the East is not great. I've got the Nets at 4.
I went Philadelphia, Milwaukee, Boston, Brooklyn.
Here's my problem with Philadelphia is James Harden's still there.
But you get a whole year of James Harden.
Do you, though?
I think you will be.
I don't buy it.
He appears to be happy and not fat.
I mean, we thought he was happy in Brooklyn, and how long did that last? He went to go play with all his buddies. That's my issue with James Harden, is he is a perpetually unhappy superstar with somebody in Joel Embiid who has not suffered fools in the past. If you look at the Ben Simmons situation, I don't know. I'm one of the biggest James Harden haters in terms of NBA people, so I fully admit that I am biased here, but I don't buy the James Harden situation at all.
I think this is the best roster that Embiid has had in Philadelphia.
I agree.
Yeah.
And they've put together, like getting Melton was a really big pickup for them.
Tucker.
He's a really good piece for them. Tucker's a nice piece for them. But you are in picking them either to win the title, to win the East, whatever, you're counting on James Harden. And in the playoffs, he's not been somebody that you can count on. He's historically one of the best or one of the worst good players in the playoffs in NBA history. And, he's getting older. I don't know what his injuries are going to be like. I don't trust him at all.
And that's why I'm just at 82 games. So Philadelphia is number 1.
Yeah, that's
and the
fair.
playoffs, you make a lot of valid points I agree on because there's a track record there. All right, I'll give you my West and then you can chime in. Clippers, Golden State, Denver, Memphis.
We have all the same teams, just in different order. I've got Golden State, Denver, Memphis, Clippers. I think Denver's going to have a big bounce back year with a healthy Jamal Murray. I don't even know that it matters how much Michael Porter Jr. plays, at least in the regular season, in order to get them in that top few seeds for the West. I think between Jokic and Jamal Murray, Aaron Gordon as a 3rd or 4th best player, they've got a pretty solid roster anyway. I think that gets them into the top few seeds in the West.
Sleeper playoff team. Can they be in the play-in game? And then they can be a sleeper playoff team in this discussion.
In the West?
Yeah.
Sacramento.
Okay. That's who I have.
That's the right answer. Sacramento's put together, like, quietly a really good roster.
So I took an odd bet that I put together. The first 2 teams to exceed their win total will be Detroit and then Sacramento. Detroit's at 29.5. Sacramento's at 34.5.
So I had a really hard time with my sleeper in the East because I couldn't decide between Detroit and Orlando. Cade Cunningham's really, really good. I don't know how many people watch because it's Detroit, but Cade Cunningham is really, really good. Jaden Ivey has a ton of upside. And I low-key really like the acquisition of Jalen Duren in the draft as well. I think he's a really good fit for that roster. Isaiah Stewart's a nice piece as a big man that's coming back as well. Detroit's going to be a lot better than people think. I don't know if they're going to make the playoffs. That's why they're a sleeper for me. But that's a nice roster. I like that. I like that combo bet with Sacramento and Detroit.
In the East, I like Milwaukee and Boston
to come out
to meet again.
I've got Milwaukee and Boston also in the conference finals there.
And then in the West, your beloved LA Clippers against the Golden State Warriors.
We've got the same Final Four.
Now we do not have the same.
This
final.
is, I think, where it's gonna depart.
So here's what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Okay. Tyronn Lue won an NBA championship with the Cleveland Cavaliers. Do you know that he has never won Coach of the Year?
Yes.
Now I'm debating between Willie Green and Tyronn Lue as winning, and I would throw Chris Finch in there because I'm starting to warm up to the Timberwolves, especially in that division.
Mm-hmm.
But I think in this case that we will have the LA Clippers with if a healthy Paul George, Kawhi Leonard.
That's one of the biggest ifs in the room.
The LA Clippers will knock off the Milwaukee Bucks to win the NBA championship.
I've got Golden State over Milwaukee in 6.
Homer.
I am a homer. I'm not gonna deny it. I've got a repeat Golden State championship. I think they're actually going to be better this year than they were last year. I think you're going to get some development out of Jonathan Kuminga. I think you're going to get more out of Jordan Poole. And if you get anything at all out of James Wiseman, this is a really scary basketball team.
I think Jordan Poole, I would imagine across the board, he is a heavy favorite to be the 6th man of the year.
Oh, gotta be. Yeah, I would. I don't know who else you're even talking about.
Because usually you're on a winning team and you score volume.
Yeah, he's going to score probably over 20 points a game. He was about 18.5 last year. They're probably going to give him even more of the load with to give Curry a break during the regular season. I think he's going to be over 20 points a game this year. And if anybody else wins 6th man of the year, I would be shocked.
I think the best player in the world will win the MVP this year. I mean, you could say that every year.
Giannis. Yep, me too. That's which he's not the favorite. Luka's the favorite in Vegas. Giannis, to me, this is one of those because they lost last year, kind of got bounced. Was it in the semis they got bounced last year when Middleton was out? I think this is a Giannis statement year, and he is the best player in the world. I mean, I don't think there's any question about that.
Banchero is my rookie of the year. I don't think a lot of people are gonna.
No. Well, and he's going to get a ton of shots on a team that's going to be better than people expect. And people like Jabari Smith in Houston are going to get lost on a really bad team that's going to be tanking to try and get Wembanyama.
And then defensive player of the year. I know this is kind of like obvious because he's won it before, but I think he'll be different in Minnesota where he doesn't have to defend the 3-point line.
Rudy?
Will be Rudy Gobert. I'm almost talking myself into Minnesota winning the Northwest Division.
I'm out on Minnesota.
All right.
I'm out. I don't think it's going to work with Cat and Rudy Gobert at the same time. I know they're trying to zag when everybody else zigs into small ball, and they're zagging. We're going Twin Towers like the 80s. I'm out. And listen, they might be okay in the regular season because I always think about playoff matchups. They might be okay in the regular season. Rudy Gobert gets played off the floor in playoff matchups. He has for the last several years in Utah, and he's not a lot, but he started to regress a little bit. Cat can't play defense at all. Anthony Edwards is really, really good. I like Anthony Edwards a lot, and he's, I think, going to take a leap this year. But Minnesota long-term, I'm out on the Rudy Gobert experiment. My defensive player of the year, I mean, take a guess. It's Homer radio here on 1620 The Zone.
Klay Thompson.
You know, I actually thought about this, but I actually think Draymond's going to take too many votes away from him. I thought about Wiggins. Because Wiggins was a really, really good defender in the playoffs last year and got himself some momentum. I think too much of the attention will be on Draymond, but I low-key for a second was like, Wiggins is going to be the best defender on that team this year.
You're coach of the year?
I actually have Mike Malone in Denver.
Okay.
I think on the bounce-back year with Murray back, I think they're the number 2 seed after Golden State. I think Mike Malone gets some love there.
Hey, if you want to watch basketball, courtesy of FanDuel with the NBA League Pass, use the promo code ZONE. You would be watching the 2 teams that I think are must watch. Not necessarily the best teams. I'm making a point to watch on a nightly basis New Orleans and Cleveland.
Oh, yeah.
New Orleans and Cleveland.
New Orleans, a healthy Zion would make me so happy.
And you remember you have some guys that are going into year 2 that were pretty good last year.
You've got CJ McCollum there. Brandon Ingram is way better than people realize. And Jonas Valanciunas is a really nice centerpiece for them. And then what was the other team you said? New Orleans
and Cleveland.
Cleveland, yes. The Donovan Mitchell thing is going to be interesting because Evan Mobley is really, really good, Garland's really good. If you can take a little bit of pressure off of him with Donovan Mitchell, that's going to be super interesting.
People forget that on Valentine's Day last year, Cleveland was in first.
Evan Mobley is so good. Like, I don't know how much people appreciate that. Sacramento is going to be a team that I'm going to enjoy watching a lot. I really like their roster. They got Keegan Murray from Iowa, which people kind of panned a little bit at the time, mostly because of passing on Jaden Ivey and his upside, not so much because Keegan Murray isn't good, but he's been really, really good in summer league and in preseason ball. Did you have a hot take that you wanted to put out there?
No, I think my hot take was Anthony Davis, which is really not a hot take.
No, I think that's a pretty reasoned take. I have a hot take.
Well, he'll be my hot take.
Okay.
So LeBron will not break the all-time scoring record until early February, but there will be multiple sports networks that will cut into programming to show LeBron going for the all-time scoring record in the NBA.
Ooh, that makes sense. I think that's right.
I mean, I think when you start to do the math, when he gets to the middle of January, I think ESPN will start to pick up all of those games. Or TNT.
Sure.
I mean, every game from when LeBron is close will be carried live. But I think like SportsCenter will cut in.
Oh yeah,
I think there will be multiple national networks.
I think so.
What about a college basketball game being cut into to show LeBron breaking the all-time scoring record?
What if it happens?
Is that a big enough deal that Judge? We broke into football for Judge. Would we break into college basketball for LeBron?
Well, considering he'd be breaking an actual record and not an imaginary record that people made up because they don't like the steroid era, yes, I think they would break in, and it is a bigger deal than the Judge thing. My hot take is that Philly gets bounced in the first round. That's my that's a Harden thing, 100%.
I just need him to play 82 games. What they do in game 83, 84, 85, that's on them. I just need them to take care of 82. NBA starts tonight. And again, go to FanDuel, use promo code ZONE, and you could be hooked up with League Pass, which is like compared to all of like the MLB package and Red Zone and the ticket and all that stuff. NBA League Pass is a steal in terms of pricing and what you get.
It is.
You still got blackout restrictions. I can't do anything about that. And my name's not Adam Silver.
No, and listen, if you like basketball at all, it's a really fun thing to have because you can just, again, we were talking about teams that probably aren't going to be on TV a lot in Sacramento and New Orleans. It's going to be, you're going to want to watch those teams if you like basketball because there's going to be some pretty fun things.
Do we know who claimed Omaha's market? Like if you're watching Bally Sports, are we in Oklahoma City Thunder? Because, by the way, they should just tank. Their win total is 24.5. Go low.
Well, and you don't have Chet, obviously.
Or
this year
are
either.
we a Timberwolves market? Or why can't we be a Nuggets market?
Well, at different times, we've been all three. And sometimes all three at the same time. There was a time a few years ago when I had League Pass that like all three would be blacked out at any given time. You get Chicago blacked out as well. So you had an overlap of about 4 teams that were blacked out in Omaha. But luckily, those are all on national TV a pretty good amount, so you should be okay.
I think Jim just said, I think we're a Timberwolves market again.
Okay, that makes sense.
The Nuggets so badly wanted to be in this market. They were going to have a G League team here.
I heard about that, and it didn't end up working out.
Yeah, because they wanted to claim Omaha.
Yeah.
I think in the world of G League, they do have Omaha claimed. I don't know how long that lasts, but a few years ago, they wanted to claim Omaha as Denver Nugget country.
Yeah, there was some momentum for a while of them putting a G League team here, and it didn't.
And local ownership group said, we're not riding.
Nuggets country.
All right, coming up next hour, Brian Christopherson, Andy Kendi as well on 1620 The Zone. Now live on Twitch, YouTube, and 1620thezone.com.
Mornings on 1620 The Zone, brought to you by MD West One Orthopedics, Neurosurgery, and Spine.
Sure, the weather is nice and mild now, but before too long, it's going to be cold, windy, with tons of snow and ice. Is your roof ready? The time to make it ready is now. That's why Complete Industries uses quality products like Scotchgard protected Atlas Pristine shingles. Sturdy, durable, and reliable. So when the storm hits, you'll be more than ready. Complete Industries also works with your insurance. Get a free inspection and estimate on roofs, gutters, siding too.
Visit CompleteIndustries.com or call 402-935-0554. Shingles add beauty, protection, and value to your home. You want CertainTeed shingles. Carp's Complete Home Exteriors is a certified CertainTeed shingle master. When it comes to your roof, CertainTeed shingles and Carp's have you covered. Online at carpsomaha.com.
This is Loyalty Lab Interview 6. Subject, grandmother's loyalty. Margie, what do you do when your grandson misbehaves? Angels don't misbehave. Here we study the most loyal, like you and... Oh, there goes the lamp. Shouldn't have put it there. Shell and the Fuel Rewards program has our members' backs too. It's super easy to save on every gallon. Loyal, just like how you acted like that wasn't his fault. Someone should clean that up before he gets hurt. Yes, loyal, just like that.
10 years of FR.com. Terms and conditions apply.
Hey, everybody, it's Gary Sharp. Join me for We Got a Podcast, driven by Woodhouse Auto Family. We get more in depth, have a guest or two, and drop nuggets of info you haven't heard anywhere else. Join us for We Got a Podcast, driven by Woodhouse Auto Family, every Friday in the show page on 1620thezone.com or wherever you listen to your podcasts.
I always wanted to learn Spanish, but I never thought I'd have the time. Then I discovered Babbel.
Babbel's lessons are fun. They only take like 10 or 15 minutes, and in 3 weeks, presto, you're speaking another language. Like magic.
I love that Babbel's lessons aren't just robots talking. They're voiced by native speakers, so you get the pronunciation just right. And they're designed by real language teachers, so you learn how to have real-world conversations, things you'll actually use.
3 weeks. It's incredible. After 3 weeks, I'm on vacation in Paris, having a conversation in French.
There's all kinds of ways to learn. Use Babbel's podcasts or games or videos. You can even join live classes with a language teacher.
If you want to learn a language, there's no faster, easier, better way than
Babbel.
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 Babbel. Évidemment.
Go to Babbel.com to try for free. That's Babbel.com. Babbel.com.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter.com/radio.
1620 The Zone.
All right, on the Mickey meter, there's only been one player since Mickey Joseph took over that has gone into the portal. You know, you with a coach leaving, you're allowed some leeway.
Yeah.
So Isaiah Garcia Castaneda went into the portal last week. Wisconsin, up to yesterday, it had 4 players in the last 4 days go into the portal. Interesting post-Michigan State loss.
Yeah.
Who didn't talk to the media, that talked to the media when Chris got fired. You know, that was the second game under Jim Leonard. So 4 players in 4 days leading up to yesterday at Wisconsin had gone into the portal for various reasons. Some sound like they were knuckleheads and it was going to be a gots to go situation either now or at the end of the season. But I wonder if you are in the, because we got to divide the camps. You're in the Mickey camp on the Mickey-o-meter.
Yeah.
What does it say for him in his candidacy that one player has left and he may have been kicking the tires before you were elevated to interim head coach? Now, you know that there will be players that will leave once the season is over immediately. And maybe when Nebraska gets to the point where they're no longer bowl eligible, some guys bail. I keep going back to our discussion in the second hour with Sam and what Whipple has said. Is there some players that are entitled? It's a good, I got some gear. Nebraska can be a very comfortable place to be a football player.
Yeah.
Okay. So maybe when Nebraska is not bowl eligible, maybe some more chatter becomes of guys in the portal. But I do think it's something that only one player has gone in the portal. Because there are some guys that it would make sense because they're not even going to play here in 22 and they can get a head start. But if you're looking at the respect for Mickey or what he's selling, I think that is significant in keeping this team together.
Yeah, I think the level of buy-in is pretty impressive that Mickey's been able to foster on the team. And if you look at the timing of it, I honestly thought there'd be quite a bit more, and not even as an indictment on Mickey, but if you look at the timing of it, right? So Frost gets fired after the third game of the season. You get blown out by Oklahoma, and then you've got a bye week, right? You've got 30 days after the coach gets fired to leave. And if you only play in 4 games, you can redshirt that year, and it doesn't count against your eligibility. Because of the timing of it, after the Mickey's first game, which was the Oklahoma blowout, then you've got a bye week. I thought we would see some departures that week. And the fact that we didn't, I was really impressed. And, like you said, there's going to be some transfers after the season. There's probably going to be some transfers when the new head coach is named, whether it's Mickey or whoever else. But the fact that he was able to keep a team together that was 1-3, had just gotten blown out, and was staring down the barrel of a possible 1-11 season, and guys didn't go out and say, you know what, I'm going to take my red shirt, I'm going to get out of here and try my luck somewhere else, is, I think, more shocking than we give it credit for.
See, I'm wondering if Mickey in that bye week, once you get past Oklahoma and you get your feet on the ground and go, phew, what a week, is he got ahead of it. Players that he thought that were maybe starting to drift away, he had discussions with and maybe got real candid about what their chances are in this program.
Yeah.
And maybe some guys that were starting to drift away, he said, don't go yet. You're going to get an opportunity.
Sure.
I don't know what that opportunity is going to look like, but you're at least going to get a chance. So don't drift away. This is where I think we can use you. And maybe some guys went, yeah, you know what? Now I have a willingness to stay. I'll see if this plays out. And then if I do get to play and it doesn't work out, I've already answered my own question. I would guess that a people person like Mickey had some candid conversations with players just to say, hey, this under my reign here, this is where you stand. And the player may have gone, good, now I have some clarification.
Well, which I think you're right. The impressive thing to me is that the players believed him. Because a lot of times you get kind of coach speak, even if it's coached a player behind closed doors, never going to get out to the media, whatever, you still kind of have, like, I've been in those meetings, right, with players that are on the fence, obviously at a different level and in a different sport, but you're dealing with people more than anything, right? And young guys at this point, where a guy is kind of on the fence. He's like, I'm thinking about leaving. I'm thinking about moving on, something like that. And it's really easy to say, hey, you're a really valuable part of this program. We see a place for you moving forward. The fact that he can say that and they believe him is the impressive thing to me, is that he's either got a relationship with them or he's got an authenticity about himself in general that lends players to be like, you know what, I believe when you tell me that you have a plan for my place here at Nebraska.
And now that window after Frost got fired is closed, and you had one player. And
Which
you're
is-
going to have more.
Yeah.
And you just hope that when the transition happens at the end of the year, it's not players that you don't expect.
Yes.
Where because Nebraska has not done a great job of retaining players, but there have not been a laundry list of players that have left here that you went, oh, man.
Yeah.
So you hope that when you have this kind of transition, you don't have a page full of players that you go, whoa, didn't need him to leave.
I mean,
you have more of where, yeah, it's best for both parties.
Is probably Wandale's the big one, right? Where, I mean, I know they tried to spin it after he left, but that was the one that you really probably would have liked to have keep. Whereas everyone else either hadn't really contributed or had some other issues that you're like, yeah, this is probably best that everybody starts new here. The only one I can think of that wasn't that way is Wandale off the top of my head.
All right, last hour upcoming. Brian Christopherson's next on 1620 The Zone.
Live from the Host Coffee Studio, this is 1620 The Zone. 1620, The Zone. Traffic.
From the Burton AC Heating, Plumbing, and More Time-Saving Traffic Center. We've got a couple of accidents to report, starting with one near 120th and Dodge, and that's going to be backed up all the way to 168th, and you can expect delays of up to 10 minutes in that area. Then we're also still getting reports of that accident near 60th and Harrison, and the other one near 176th and Q, so please be cautious if you are in those areas as well. And we are also still getting reports of that broken water main near 120th and Pacific, with ice reported in the intersection. I'm Chris Scott. This time-saving traffic is brought to you by Saul's Jewelry and Loan.
What does Saul's loan on? Almost everything, like jewelry, gold chains, bracelets, earrings, wedding rings, and high-end watches, guns, electronics, $10 to $50,000, super fast and easy with no credit check. Saul's loans on almost everything.
Dear gas prices, go take a hike. Toyota is the #1 retail brand for electrified vehicles for 22 years. The Toyota hybrid lineup brings efficiency with power and savings with style. Not to mention top tech to help keep you connected. Plush premium interiors and the most advanced Toyota safety features. So, now you know who you're talking to. Toyota, the #1 retail brand for electrified vehicles for 22 years. With a hybrid or electric vehicle built for every driver. Seriously, dear gas prices? Do you really think you can stand in our way? Think again. Toyota hybrids. Find yours at toyota.com. Toyota, let's go places.
Based on manufacturer estimate, CY 2000 through 2021 sales.
See your independently owned Omaha Metro Toyota dealers. Village Point Toyota of Omaha, Baxter Toyota of La Vista, or Corwin Toyota of Bellevue.
Terrors of the night stalk among the trees. Waiting in the distance. A shriek. Laughter. Then, silence. It's the season of darkness at the Ranch of Terror and Haunted Hayride. Spend an hour with nothing to protect you but your own screams. Bring your group and witness unspeakable horrors that test every fiber of your nerves. Hayride and house combo $25 or $15 separately. The Ranch of Terror and Haunted Hayride. BellevueBerryFarm.com.
Email us on the Equitable Bank inbox with whatever is on your mind. Zone Inbox is brought to you by Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. You can get me, Gary, at 1620thezone.com. We want to hear from you on the Equitable Bank Zone Inbox.
Husker coverage on 1620 The Zone is presented by Tickets for Less. Tickets for Less is your local source for Nebraska football tickets. Compare and save today at ticketsforless.com. All the Nebraska football news, stories, experts, and coverage you need is on 1620 The Zone.
Join Genesis Health Clubs for 36 cents for their 36th anniversary and get the rest of the year free.
Imagine it's a scorcher and your home's AC just quit. Sometimes it's beyond repair and needs to be replaced. At 1 Hour Heating and Air Conditioning, our comfort specialists take the frustration out of the equation. Modern AC systems are more energy efficient, which is good news for your energy bill. Call 402-788-1234 or visit McCarthy's1hour.com.
Always on time, boy, you don't pay time. Always on time, boy, you don't pay time.
Independently owned and operated, licensed in their respective state or county.
Shop Woodhouse Place Hyundai and Nissan, 144th and Giles. KOZN, Bellevue, Omaha, Council Bluffs.
All right, last hour on a Tuesday morning on 1620 The Zone. There's Robbie, Jimmy, I'm Gary, and Brian Christopherson from Husker 24/7, back from the road trip to West Lafayette. How was the your biannual trip to West Lafayette, Indiana?
Wasn't too bad. We actually stopped the night before in Merrillville, Indiana, that hotbed that is Merrillville, and Brunson. I ate at an old Chicago. I think we were the only two people in there, and we were watching the Padres-Dodgers. And then, of course, we stopped at, the world's largest truck stop gas station, wherever that is.
Got to.
We
Yeah.
went in there and, of course, picked up a bunch of trinkets for everyone. Everybody wants that. So that was part of it. So it was pretty good.
Hey, what did you think of, and you've seen him enough, what did you think of Aiden O'Connell?
He's just a really solid top-level college quarterback. You know, I always have trouble being for sure how that translates to the next level. But I think you saw like on the one throw for their last touchdown, where Deshaun Singleton actually had pretty good coverage there, and it was just exactly like, here it is. I'm just almost like he handed it off to Charlie Jones. I mean, that he had a few throws like that where you're like, okay, that's big time. That might even translate at the next level, but it certainly does at this one. And there were some plays during that game where, Quinton Newsome had the tough assignment of being on Charlie Jones most of the night. And I would say there were 4, 5, 6 catches where pretty well contested, and it was just a timing thing between quarterback and receiver, and a talented guy on the other end with Charlie Jones, who's just like, I'm gonna come up with this. If it's on my fingertips, I'm gonna have it. And there was just such a trust there. And wisely, Jeff Brom did what a lot of coaches talk about but don't do in those moments. He said, "Who are my best players? I'm going to put the game on my best players in the last 3 or 4 minutes, and I'll do that even with a bad down and distance situation and take my chances rather than put my weakness on the field and give them a 90 yards to defend," which would have been the story had Nebraska held there. Nebraska would have had a chance to make a long drive. So I like that Brom showed that sort of trust, and it's not just talk. You actually saw it like in crunch time, and it paid off for him.
Brian, when you're looking at the stat sheet for this game, obviously there's a huge disparity in favor of Purdue, but on the scoreboard it was still, and Nebraska still obviously had a chance there. Does that make you discouraged for how poorly Nebraska played in certain areas of the game, or encouraged that they were still able to give themselves a shot at the end?
Probably somewhere in between, actually. I mean, you take what's there, and your matchup, they knew going in that Trey Palmer could run by some guys. I had heard that all week, and it was clear that was true. And to be honest, Trey Palmer could have had 350 receiving yards in that game. I mean, think about a couple of the plays that weren't had that could have been added on top of that. There was one where it was underthrown, where he had to come back in the second half for it, and it got knocked away at the last second. Another where he was like 5 yards beyond his man, and Thompson sailed it to the side. He threw it out of bounds.
That's right.
And Palmer had one drop also. We're not going to dwell on that as well as he played, but he had like a drop for a 20-yarder, so he could have added that to it. So he could have been getting close to Troy Edwards territory. Nebraska fans of a certain age will remember that performance by Louisiana Tech receiver in Lincoln. So I think they knew that was there, and hey, you're not going to pass up when you feel you have the opportunity that this guy can run past someone and it's a 65-yard play. The downside is you've got a defense that has some warts, that was thinning as the game went, and you're sort of playing into Purdue's hands a little bit on the other side of the ball by not being able to use any clock on offense. So I don't blame Mark Whipple and the offense for wanting to take advantage of that, but it turned into a very strange situation where the defense is being held together by painter's tape by the end of that game, and is on 100+ snaps, and it just isn't how you would like it statistically going forward. But I don't know how they work beyond that, with the O-line they got right now. I don't know that they're an offense that's built to just consistently churn out, 5.5-minute drives. That doesn't seem to be who they are.
So, you look at the second half box score. I mean, Nebraska scores 24 points. They have time of possession, which was around 5 minutes. Yards per play, points per minute. And you're like, wow, how is this a 43-37 game? Then you look at the other side and go, oh, but how is this a 43-37 game? As you look back at that game, and, we heard that Mickey after the Oklahoma game, that they needed to slow the ball. They still needed to slow the tempo down on offense to help the defense. Now, since Oklahoma, this was the best team that Nebraska has played, and it turned into a track meet. Do you think because Nebraska was having success scoring almost at will in the second half, that they just threw everything out the window about slowing it down, keeping the ball away from Purdue? We're just going to go all in on a track meet.
Yeah, maybe. And they were also, you're playing from 17 down at one point. That might be your only way back, honestly. And so that stretch in the last 8 to 9 minutes of the first half, that was it, really. I mean, that was the part where it was decided, okay, Nebraska's the team that's going to be running uphill with the boulder on its back the whole game. I mean, it was still to be determined at that point which team was going to be in the driver's seat and which one was in the passenger seat for the, second half. And really the play of the game, I think when you go back to it, was the first Thompson pick, because I feel like at that point you had a tennis match where it was even Steven. And if he makes the throw that he's very capable of making on that one, Vokalek was so wide open. He catches that ball at midfield and he goes down to, like the Purdue 35, like that's where he takes that pass. Instead, Purdue's on Nebraska's 30, goes up 10. And then I feel like the next series Nebraska had on offense sort of paired with that, where they gave up the 2 sacks. And it just felt like one of those parts of the game where everything's sort of going down on you. And so that was the part that I think made it what you're talking about, where Nebraska felt like we just got to go with ride Trey here, because he's the guy who can get you points and he can get them fast, and it's there. Why are you going to not take something that's there like that? So that that's what happened.
Brian, there were in my mind some similarities between the time frame in which Nebraska really struggled in the second quarter with Indiana, and then the same thing with Purdue. Is there a correlation there in something that Nebraska is doing that has that those teams have been able to take advantage of, or is that more of a coincidence in your mind?
I think it's coincidence, but that was what Mark Whipple was frustrated about the one week when he told the guys, he's like, you go right down and score in some of these games in 4 plays on the first drive, and then what happens? You gotta want it every play, and it's just got to be high level every play, and you can't really afford to be inefficient when a defense is really trying to figure itself out and has the warts that Nebraska does. But that's a lot of pressure on the offense too. I mean, you got to be fair. Even with Casey Thompson's interception, I sort of level that off in my head with, I mean, the guy's in a tough spot because he's getting the tar beat out of him in the first half. And then you're playing that position where it's very difficult when you're on offense and you feel like, sort of back to the tennis match analogy, like you got to score all the time. And if you get your serve broken, how are you going to overcome that?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying it was specifically to that level, but it was a little bit of that game where you felt like if you missed out on a drive opportunity, that might be the one that ends it. Like you always kind of wondered, is that the one where, okay, this game completely tilted the other way? And that's a lot of pressure on, a QB to just be so precise where he doesn't make those 1 or 2 bad throws that everyone's talking about in the end. So that I don't know, though, that there's a direct correlation where you can say it's this or that, why they've struggled in the second quarter. But certainly it was the part of the game, I think, where this thing was really turned. That and the 3rd and 11 that Purdue converted to start the fourth quarter. If Nebraska stops them there, that was another opportunity to get in the driver's seat.
If there's one thing that, for the most part, has been consistent for 7 games, that's going to rank really high when everybody does their midseason grades, has been special teams. I mean, Nebraska, where they rank in a lot of the special teams categories and efficiency, they haven't been for a while. And they got another block punt. I love the design, how to get Sanford. They didn't count Sanford, and all of a sudden he's coming free to block the punt. Tommy Hill looked comfortable. Maybe that's a weapon that you're going to see every week, him on the kickoff return team. They finally have a full-time coach. We talked about special teams for now almost a year, BC. They hire a full-time coach, but now he's your defensive coordinator, so they elevate an analyst. Besides the direct attention, because you have somebody in a full-time role running special teams, what else is different about special teams to you that Nebraska's had, for the most part, weekly consistent success? And I should add, Bleak Road had 3 field goals in this game as well. What do you think, besides just the attention, has attributed to Nebraska being much, much better in that area?
Well, I think one by one, first off, they've knocked off really key parts. I mean, we didn't really know what Bleak Road was made of, but in fairness to him, he'd only kicked 3. You know, he hadn't kicked since the end of the Georgia Southern game until this week. So for him to do that showed, yeah, maybe he is that guy you hoped he would be. I know Buschini didn't have his best day, but I think, Buschini's like the guy from Monty Python, it feels like, who keeps losing a limb and, he's down. It's a mere flesh wound guy. Like, I mean, it's like every week he's had something happen. So at least he didn't get hammered this week by, a Purdue guy or something like that. But I think you did see some of maybe the after effects of some of those injuries. He didn't quite kick it as well as he usually does. So the bye will probably be good for him. But you do feel good about him. You feel good about Frankie. You seemingly now feel good about Bleak Road. That right there gives you a lot of confidence in the main parts. And then the rest of it, I think Nebraska guys behind the scene would always argue they had a lot of the bones of the operation in place, but it was sometimes getting overshadowed by some of those things, those positions, like a punter who kicks it the wrong way or whatever. And so now it's all just kind of coming together. And I think you're seeing that they did indeed put so much work into it this off season. And that was not just a bunch of talk and fluff to get us to September. They actually, I think, were a team that bought in like, hey, if we're going to win this year, we got to have a chance. We got to win that phase of the game. But I'll say that Saturday was about the most complete they've been, because the kick return part actually was a threat, and Purdue had a kicker who gave them a chance. And Tommy Hill was a shoelace away from taking one of the house to start the second half. And that would have been fitting in a game where Nebraska never had the ball. But he seriously almost took that one 95 yards if people go back and watch it.
Brian, you mentioned earlier you didn't really think that Nebraska had the kind of the infrastructure on offense to do those, extended 5.5-minute drives. But I guess my question would be, after what we've seen from them through a little more than half the season, do they have what it takes to actually take that shootout formula and turn it into wins, or is it just the lesser of two evils there?
Yeah, that's a good question. I do think if you want to be optimistic, I think Nebraska has something in Trey Palmer that not a lot of teams in the West have. And so it's easy to look at it right now and say, man, how's Nebraska going to do anything against Illinois' defense? That offensive line is just going to get wrecked, by that front. And Illinois is playing at a really high level. I mean, they're a top 5 defense in like every statistic, so you have to give them their due. But I do think Palmer is a pretty special talent where you sort of expect him to make a couple explosive plays that maybe some other teams in this division don't have in them, that I think could keep Nebraska's head above water in some of those games. If Nebraska's defense can show they're closer to what they were against Rutgers and Indiana when the offensive talent or the quarterback play isn't like it was with Aiden O'Connell. You know what I mean? So there's some teams that are not going to have an Aiden O'Connell type QB now. And you hope that Nebraska can kind of get its footing. I don't know what Nick Henrich situation. That looked bad. Like he came off on crutches, and it was slow to the locker room. And so you worry about a couple guys and what their status is. So it's not going to be easy. But somehow the defense has to kind of get back to, that type of group that can hold a team to 21 points, and then you've got a couple plays in Trey Palmer and enough in Anthony Grant that you could piece together some 23-20 kind of wins. I think that's possible. I think Nebraska is going to be in 4 of the 5 games, and they're going to be 4-quarter fights, just like this last one, with Michigan being the exception. And it's just a matter of, can you get maybe the edge in turnover margin or that 1 or 2 plays that tilt it your way.
And we saw tweaks coming out of the first bye. You expect many tweaks coming out of the second bye?
I don't know how much they can do, especially kind of taking it back to the offense. And you think about the O-line. I mean, they've tried to make some moves there. But one thing you could be interested in is, can a guy like Bryce Benhart, who I know has been a piñata at right tackle for the fan base, but they had him working at guard, in the warm-ups, and he ended up coming in at tackle when Anthony got dinged, or they wanted to just give him some action there. But I wonder if Benhart could get a little action at guard, and whether that amounts to anything, I don't know. But I do have like the Zach Sterup story in my mind of guys who, really struggled at a position and then found it on the interior. And so you never know. I don't want to count that out as a possibility. At safety though, what do you do? You get Buford maybe got a little dinged up in that game. Farmer's playing a little bit better. They're going to have to play a lot of Phelan Sanford. I mean, the guys that are out there got to just step up. And I don't know that there's many personnel moves you can make at this point.
You know what? That might be of a season that's 3-4 and you've had a coaching change. The Sanford story might be one of the better ones at the end of the year. Because I think I went and looked at the participation chart. I think he played over 60 snaps the other night.
He did. Yep.
And he was very rarely out of position. I think he had 5 tackles. I mean, he's one of those guys, and you've brought him up before in the offseason. He's one of those guys that, would be on the special teams that we would talk about, and then he'd play and you'd go, well, why is he playing? Look, he's over the scholarship guys. And then in spring, you would hear his name a lot. I think that's going to be one of the better stories that'll come out of this year is his development, because if you watched him play Saturday night, you would have never known that he was a walk-on.
Mm-mm. Well, people need to remember when they did that testing stuff, remember Phelan Sanford was like top 5 tester like a year ago when they put those numbers out, like on a lot of stuff. I mean, he's kind of a freak athlete. Like, so people, they may have their preconceived notion about who he is or what he is because he's from small town Nebraska or whatnot, and maybe he grew up like hog tying calves or whatever. But he's a really good athlete. So don't sell him short there. It'll be interesting if he gets more snaps. I didn't know how much of it was Buford injury or how much of it was let's see what this guy can do. He's doing all right back there. So that's definitely a storyline to watch.
Hey, BC, thanks. Enjoy the bye week.
Yep, thanks, guys.
It's Brian Christopherson. I mean, come on, Sanford. How come you didn't play the other 40 snaps by Purdue?
I'm glad he brought up the testing, because Phelan Sanford's a really, really good athlete. And it wasn't totally clear if he could put it together on a football field. I believe he was a big track guy in high school as well. But physically, he can do basically all the things you would want a safety to do. It was just whether he could actually translate it to football.
Texter Bernie chimes in, and I agree with him. If you're looking for a tweak coming out of the bye. So now everybody will have the Purdue film on Palmer and bracket coverage. Takeaway number 3, try and make Nebraska one-handed, is Tommy Hill, kick return. When was the last time you saw a kick return like that where you thought this might go?
Right.
Okay, it's been a while. I mean, Amir and Spielman haven't been here for a while.
Yeah.
But do they use him in the passing game? Like, now that he has a couple of weeks adjusting to wide receiver, now he has a full bye week adjusting to wide receiver. Is he a complement that you're going to have to pay attention to on the other side? He gives you that deep threat or something else that maybe a Marcus Washington doesn't, in complementary to what Palmer will do. If you're going to pay a bunch of attention to Palmer, is Hill all of a sudden a weapon that you will utilize because he maybe can do with his speed something that Palmer could do? That then they have to adjust to that, and you have a nice situation if you're a play caller that you have 2 bona fide deep threat weapons.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if you saw him on some of those deep routes and things like that. The other thing I would watch out for him, as we saw, he's obviously really good with the ball in his hands. Maybe they find a way to get him the ball just in some space. I know we've kind of pined for that for a few guys, but if it's just even a pressure release to take some attention off of Palmer on the other side of the field, where they have to be a little bit more honest on not totally shifting their defense to Palmer's side of the field. If you can get Hill out in some space there, that could be a really big deal for Nebraska's offense, because right now they don't have really any kind of secondary weapon, whether it's a running back. Obviously, Vokalek has been kind of banged up at tight end. The second receiver has been hit and miss. If they can get anybody to provide really anything on offense outside of Palmer, that could be a huge help.
And we were talking earlier about this wide receiver room because, Palmer will bounce to the NFL off of this season. And you're gonna have some guys you're gonna have to cleanse out of there. And then you're gonna have Bonner, keep him healthy, Crawford get healthy. So you're gonna have some space in there. But what if Tommy Hill becomes one of your bona fide top 3 wide receivers in the last 5 games of the year? So because he's only a sophomore.
Yeah.
So there you go. There cures one of the issues of not having, bodies in the wide receiver room. If he's a legitimate wide receiver, that's what he wants to do, and he sticks around.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, really good with the ball in his hands. What can he be as more than a specialist, right? What can he be as as more of an every down type player? Can he provide a consistent threat on the offense? That's what they should be trying to figure out in the last 5 games here, so they know, okay, we really do need to fill X number of spots in the wide receiver room, or we've got something here in Tommy Hill that maybe it's not as urgent as it would have looked if he can't be that guy.
All right, coming up before we're done, Andy Kendi will stop by. His thoughts on his trip to West Lafayette.
I'm sure it was dandy.
I think it's. I mean, it's not in the.
It's
top
fine.
half of the stadiums, but it's not a bad trip.
No, I mean there's worse for sure. You think they prefer West Lafayette or Piscataway?
I think you answered your own question there. We're back with more 1620 The Zone after this. All right, new customers, listen to this. The NBA season is kicking off tonight. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, is going to take care of you. $150 in free bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. Just use promo code ZONE. Plus, all customers are going to get 3 months of NBA League Pass when you make a $5 bet on the NBA, courtesy of FanDuel. That's a steal. There you can watch all the action, and you can bet on it from the money line to the point spreads with FanDuel as you watch. All your winnings paid instantly. It's safe. It's secure. It's FanDuel. And right now, $150 in free bets plus 3 months of NBA League Pass with the promo code ZONE. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the NBA. 21 and over, present in Iowa. New customers only. First online real money wager only. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable free bets that expire in 14 days. Existing customers, $5 NBA wager required. Limit 1 pass per customer across both offers. Restrictions apply. Void where prohibited. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-BETS-OFF. NBA League Pass. Local blackout restrictions apply.
Mornings on 1620 The Zone is brought to you by MD West One Orthopedics, Neurosurgery, and Spine. Previously on Unsportsmanlike Conduct.
4th grade, we're learning all these things. I, in my infinite wisdom, decide to write a note to a girl. Finish your drink. I don't want you to spit this. Said me plus you equals nighttime fun. It's an 11-year-old. I got in trouble. I got sent to the counselor's office.
Unsportsmanlike Conduct with John Bishop and Josh Peterson. Weekdays 2 to 6 on 1620 The Zone. Caller 4 right now, 402-951-1620. Qualifies for 1620 The Zone's 4-quarter pick'em. It's your chance to pick 4 football games correctly against the spread to win $1,620. Call 402-951-1620. Call now to qualify with 1620 The Zone. Your Omaha area forecast presented by Bellevue Berry and Pumpkin Ranch from the KETV Newswatch 7 Weather Center on 1620 The Zone.
The bright sunny skies will continue throughout your Tuesday, along with the unseasonably chilly temperatures. In Omaha, I'm tracking a high temperature of only 42 degrees. You add on a northwest wind, it could feel like the mid-30s through most of the day. For tonight, another cold one, clear skies, calm wind, an overnight low temperature of 19 degrees. I'm meteorologist Anthony Copeland for KETV News Watch 7.
Mornings on 1620 The Zone, brought to you by MD West One Orthopedics, Neurosurgery, and Spine.
Sonic has something delicious for you. Hey, announcer guy, that's your cue. Try the all-new Sonic Chop House Cheeseburger. Elevate your taste buds with creamy Chop House aioli, crispy onion strings, and 2 slices of American cheese decadently layered atop a 100% pure beef patty and served on a toasted brioche bun. Well, I don't know about you, but I'm definitely craving that previously mentioned thing. Sonic. Limited time only at participating Sonic drive-ins.
At Simply Safe Home Security, we know in an emergency, the clock is ticking. So we designed an advanced security system powered by live 24/7 professional monitoring agents who use Fast Protect technology exclusively from Simply Safe to capture video evidence and verify a threat. Then alert police so you get faster police response. Right now, get 40% off any new system. Visit simplysafe.com/holiday to save big today. There's no safe like Simply Safe.
It's time to find a career that's right for you. Metropolitan Community College can help you find a new path forward on your time. Whether you need a degree that puts you on a path to a new career or need to finish a degree you've already started, MCC makes it affordable and convenient with a flexible class schedule, online or on campus. It's your time to path forward. Let MCC show you the way. Register today. Classes start December 1st. Apply today at mccneb.edu/adults.
The big box stores have a secret. When you walk out the door with a new purchase, that's where the service ends. At Ty's Outdoor Power and Service, you get great deals on brands like Hustler, Toro, Honda, and Steel. Plus, you get a dedicated experienced service center. With annual maintenance and repairs, your equipment will last longer and perform when you need it most. See us in Lincoln, Omaha, or Gretna and get 10% off your residential service. Visit TysOutdoorPower.com, promo code radio, or mention radio to redeem.
This is Scott Schultz from Host Coffee. 2022 marks our 50th year and business has never been better. We are rapidly growing and adding new customers, which means we need new route drivers and service technicians. We have new jobs for those new to the industry with little or no experience, and new careers that require knowledge in the coffee and vending world. There's a good chance we have just what you need in a new job. Host Coffee offers competitive pay and understands the work-life balance. Apply today at hostcoffee.net/careers and join our team.
It hit me like a ton of bricks. I'm like, I never smoked a cigarette. How in the hell did I get lung cancer?
I don't smoke. I've never smoked. So I started Googling. One word just kept coming up, like it was in bold and red, and it was radon.
Radon is the number 2 cause of lung cancer.
Well, you don't know if it's in your home. You got to test. You can't see it. You can't taste it. You can't smell it.
What's your level? Radon Defense Midwest can help. Visit radonradio.com for a special offer. That's radonradio.com.
Make it a great fall season. Head to KuglerVision.com today to request a consultation.
1620 The Zone.
All right, welcome back in. AK's coming up here in a little bit. This is from Don. Maybe I'm late on a tweet here. Excuse me. Nothing telling fellow Nebraskans that chili doesn't belong on cinnamon rolls to get a good argument rolling. And it doesn't belong on spaghetti either.
I don't know what that's in reference to.
Don may be triggered because it's October. It's a 50-year-old record for low temperature was broken this morning. That people are going to go with the Nebraska tradition of cinnamon rolls and chili.
So I like them as a compliment to one another, but not on top of one. Like, I don't want to eat, like, I know some people will put the chili on top of the cinnamon roll.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really roll that way. I enjoy having my chili and then like a nice cinnamon roll for dessert. I think that's a nice combination. But listen, if people like it, that's fine.
So I think I know what this is in reference to.
Okay.
People, regionally, wherever you live, you have a certain food item that is close to, like, Nebraskans.
Yeah.
Okay. So not everybody is in on the cinnamon rolls and chili.
Yeah.
Not everybody's in on the runza.
Sure.
But now I figured this out because him referencing chili on spaghetti is a Skyline chili thing.
Oh, so that's a Cincinnati thing, right? Yeah.
Where if you attack that,
people lose it.
Not as many people as you would think.
Really?
But that's like a signature food item in Cincinnati that they will come at you like, the grizzly bears that were attacking the athletes in Wyoming. And so you are forced to defend it.
Listen, I can understand how.
Like, are people defending if someone goes at you nationally? Let's just say somebody nationally says, I can't understand why Nebraskans do cinnamon rolls and chili, not together, but at the same meal. Would you go at them with ferocity?
No, I'd probably be like, well, what's wrong? Cinnamon rolls, good. Chili, good. What's the problem here? Now, it's harder to defend putting it on top of the cinnamon roll. That I don't totally understand. If you like it, to each their own, whatever. But if they don't even understand it at the same meal, it's like, listen, it's cold in the winter. You got to eat hearty. I don't understand what the problem is there.
It's probably not a hill I'm going to die on.
No, it's not. But I also don't understand.
If anybody wants to mess with our steaks, I'm probably going to come at you.
Yes. If you mess with steaks from Nebraska, we will have aggressive words.
Yeah, like if you are, let's say, in Florida and somebody says, oh, where are you from? Nebraska. And they say, oh, wait till you try the steaks here.
I would laugh at them.
I'm probably walking out.
I would laugh at them and think they were kidding.
Yes.
Which same token, if you're in Florida or anywhere on the coast and you're like, oh, you've got to try the seafood in Omaha. Which, listen, we have some lovely seafood places here, especially for being in the middle of the country. They do a great job of flying things in fresh, but you're not directly next to the ocean. I understand, they're going to take that a little personally. All right? I get it.
Nebraska Hype Man says this is 100% a hill I would die on.
I would not at all. I don't care about it that much.
It is the interesting reaction. So from outsiders that I see, there's, and it'll probably be in the next home game, the media meal.
Mm-hmm.
They will once a year serve chili, and then there'll be cinnamon rolls on the side.
Yeah.
And out of state media will somehow not put two and two together. They're like, this is an odd combination. But you will find people that are like, wow, this is a great idea. I'm going to go home and try it. I just will not post it on social media for anybody to come at me.
Yeah, there's a level of, it's a secret shame that they're like, oh man, this is really good. I would just never tell anyone that I enjoy it. But yeah, I really don't understand the pushback to it. It's a pretty, I don't know if it's a natural combination of foods, but I don't think it's that odd. Like it would be odd to serve, again, I'll go back to seafood. It'd be odd to serve seafood and cinnamon rolls. That's a weird combination. It might not even be bad.
There's probably a buffet here in town you could find that combo on.
Listen, there's a buffet here in town. You could find just about any combo you could possibly imagine.
I have not been to a buffet post-COVID. Not that I haven't wanted to, but usually when I go to a buffet,
yeah,
I'm going to get my money's worth.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
The key to a good buffet or getting your money's worth at a buffet, you got to go heavy on the meat products. That's where you get the money. You can't load up on salad.
Less bread.
You can't load up on carbs.
Desserts.
I go heavy on the meat products. I'm a big beef guy on a buffet. That's where you really get the money.
So you would eat at some of the places that specialize in meat?
Yeah, I've done like a Chinese buffet, I think is the only place I've been since COVID, as far as a buffet is concerned. I don't go to a lot of buffets in general, but I don't have an opposition to them. It's just usually
you don't leave here and go home and say, hey, why don't we go to the Golden Corral?
Man, I haven't been to a Golden Corral in probably 5 years, at least. We used to, that was a basketball trip.
Oh, yes.
Staple. The buffets are a staple of a, of small school basketball trips.
There is one time a year. It's actually, it's usually on a trip to the Dakotas, North Dakota. We would stop in Watertown, South Dakota at the Pizza Ranch.
Oh yeah. I've been to that pizza ranch. I'm almost positive.
You got kids on your roster from around the country.
Yeah.
That don't get the Pizza Ranch.
Yeah, they're unfamiliar with the Pizza Ranch.
But then once they discover the chicken,
oh, they're all in.
And the ice cream,
all in.
Yeah, that's all they eat.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's really healthy.
Listen, you got your protein in your chicken, you got your carbs in your ice cream. What's the problem?
Yeah, see, I'm starting to gear up with basketball season starting, and we're going to be on the road.
Yeah.
Is the players eat differently than the broadcaster, but they serve the same meals to the broadcaster. I just don't go out and burn the same kind of calories that Division I basketball players do.
You're saying you don't need to carbo load to the same extent that the Division I college basketball players do?
Yeah. And for anybody that's traveled with sports teams,
yeah,
they eat a lot.
Oh yeah,
they eat all the time.
Yeah, my
hey, we have breakfast at 9. Guess what? We're having a snack at 11:30. What? Then we're gonna have lunch at 1. Oh, and then we're gonna have a snack at 3. What?
They're hobbits, basically. My wife works at a hotel where a lot of basketball teams stay when they come play Creighton, and her schedule when you've got basketball teams in town is bonkers. She works at. She's a chef in the pastry department. It's crazy.
And they eat all the time.
Constantly. So many meals for those guys. It's
Yeah.
ridiculous.
I mean, and then when the game's over, I mean, you got like a bag of food.
Yes.
I'm like,
It's like a duffel bag full of food.
God, if this was me in college, I'd be hoarding this stuff. I mean, my freezer would be packed full of this food.
It's because you don't have that sweet NIL money.
That's true. We got AK coming up here in just a moment. Here is Rodney. Hello, Rodney.
Hey, good morning, Gary.
How you doing?
I'm doing better today.
All right. Well, yesterday was a bad day.
Yesterday was it was really stressful, man.
Oh, I'm sorry.
But everything worked out, man.
Okay.
Everything worked out, man. Plus, even San Diego. I mean, I always call them San Diego, but the Chargers won last night.
Hey, they beat the Broncos. That's all that matters.
Yeah, but I noticed one thing, man. When Kansas City loses, you don't even talk about the game.
So what are you trying to say?
You bring it up, man.
I did, yeah.
We briefly touched on it yesterday.
I did. If Nebraska had not played on the weekend, I would probably talk about it more. But I gave all the love in the world to Buffalo.
You're right. Yeah, Nebraska did pretty good, man. Nebraska did okay yesterday, Saturday.
Oh, Rodney,
you're gonna make people mad, Rodney.
You were okay.
Yeah, I'm okay. They did okay, man, but they just need to keep some receivers in the locker, some good receivers, man. You see how Palmer was getting open.
Yeah. Well, he's got.
I don't think anybody can stop that kid right now, man.
Well, no, and that's become Nebraska's offense. They don't have that next guy that is in his skill set to complement him.
To me, they really need to release the freshmen, man. Just let everybody play if they can.
Which freshman?
I don't know, man.
Bonner? Crawford?
I don't think Crawford's playing.
Everybody.
Well, Crawford's hurt. He's out for the year. Bonner has been banged up.
Or anybody that can even remotely get open, man, or play defense or something, man.
Well, yeah, they got to exhaust all possibilities. But Rodney, the problem is they've pretty much done that already.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure, man.
Yeah.
I just hope they start recruiting in the Metro again, man.
Well, hey, Rodney, have you not seen the last probably 3 weeks? They have been very active in the Metro with offers from Omaha North to Omaha Central to Gretna to Millard North. I mean,
I hope they start landing them kids, man, because every time we championship, man, it was through Nebraska, Omaha, or the Metro.
Well,
Johnny Rogers, just the quarterbacks, the linemen, the Scows, the Joneses, everybody, man. Ron Green, come on.
Well, Rodney, there's another part of this, the recruiting in Omaha. And there is a concerted effort to recruit the state's largest city. But there also has to be, here's the next step of this recruiting Omaha, is Omaha kids need to go to Nebraska and be productive again.
Mm-hmm.
Like make an impact like the guys that you were rattling off.
Yeah, and plus we got to win too. Make it
all.
attractable. You see what Max Duggan doing out there, man, at TCU?
Yep.
He was just crossed the bridge.
He was. They recruited him, but he was not comfortable with the offense here. And for what he wanted to do at that time, that offense probably fit him better. With Sonny Cumbie.
He's a remarkable athlete, man.
Yeah, it's a great story because you remember he didn't begin the year as a starter. Rodney, we got to run. I appreciate the call as always.
All right, talk to you later, man.
All right, my man. Yeah, we want Nebraska to recruit Omaha, and Mickey realizes that.
Yeah,
Nebraska realizes that. They're more aggressive. There's offers in the last 3 weeks from kids in the 24, 25, 26 class, or Mason Goldman that is in the 23 class.
Yeah.
But then there's the part of the Omaha kid
needs to be productive.
When they get to Lincoln, they are multi-year starter and they make an impact. Like the run that we had the great stretch of Omaha guys going to Lincoln, and they were starters, and they were all Big 8, they were all Big 12.
Because if you're an Omaha guy and you're getting recruited and you see Omaha guys successful everywhere except Nebraska, you really going to go to Nebraska?
No.
Also, you mentioned Millard North. I need them to get a Mooberry offer out. All right, I need that to happen. Vermont deserves the offer. I'm not hating on Vermont. I need Mooberry to get an offer.
All right. Andy Kendi is coming up next on 1620 The Zone. Hey, coming up on Wednesday, November 9th from 11:30 to 1, it is the Kim Foundation's annual A Time for Home and Healing event. If you've had a chance to make it to this luncheon, you know that it's a fantastic day as they bring in well-known mental health advocates each year for a luncheon to speak. And this year, Jay Glazer. Everybody knows Jay from his time on Fox Sports as the NFL insider. His training, he started the first MMA program. Plus, earlier this year, he released his book, Unbreakable, How I Turned My Depression and Anxiety into Motivation, and You Can Too. He shared his personal story of living in the gray. Well, you can hear his story at the Kim Foundation's annual luncheon coming up on Wednesday, November 9th from 11:30 to 1. Now, tickets are only $75, and you can purchase tickets today at thekimfoundation.org. It's coming up Wednesday, November 9th, 11:30 to 1 at Embassy Suites La Vista. Your chance to support the Kim Foundation and hear Jay Glazer's story. For more information and to purchase tickets, go to thekimfoundation.org.
After Nebraska plays on Saturday, you'll wake up on Sunday morning with a severe reaction. Michael Severe returns to 1620 The Zone, and he won't hold back about what went right and what went wrong during the game. He'll also take calls from the most important voice of all, yours, Severe Reaction. Sundays from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m., powered by Equitable Bank. We take banking personally, only on 1620 The Zone.
With some big-time events coming up, including the Luke Combs concert at the CHI Health Center right here in Omaha, October 28th and 29th. Be sure to check out my friends at ticketsforless.com. It's not all about sports. It's about shows, and it's also about finding the best tickets at ticketsforless.com. So whether you want to see the pageantry of Memorial Stadium on a Saturday, catch a game at Arrowhead Stadium, Tickets for Less is your source for the best tickets, also without those crazy per-ticket fees you'll pay on other sites. Trust me, you'll keep going back to ticketsforless.com. Compare and save the day at ticketsforless.com.
Sure, the weather is nice and mild now, but before too long, it's going to be cold, windy, with tons of snow and ice. Is your roof ready? The time to make it ready is now. That's why Complete Industries uses quality products like Scotchgard protected Atlas Pristine shingles. Sturdy, durable, and reliable. So when the storm hits, you'll be more than ready. Complete Industries also works with your insurance. Get a free inspection and estimate on roofs, gutters, siding too.
Visit CompleteIndustries.com or call 402-935-0554.
Looking for a new pipe or the latest vaporizer? Then go to any 42 Degrees and pick from the largest selection of American-made water pipes featuring custom creations, Jedi Glass, Michael Crouch, and local artist Chris Vargas. Need a new vaporizer from Dr. Dabber, Pax 3, Hamilton, and more? With prices up to 50% off, the most knowledgeable, friendly, and professional staff, and multiple locations. Why shop anywhere else? 42 Degrees, the source.
Prescription products require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if a prescription is appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for full details and important safety information. Subscription required. Refund available for 60 days after purchase.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same, but is 90% cheaper? And you can get it online? Just go to 4hims.com/radio. You'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and trusted generic alternatives to the biggest brands at 90% off. That's right, get generic for Viagra, the same active ingredient as brand name Viagra, but 90% cheaper. It's the same medication you get from your doctor, but with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. Results are guaranteed or your money back. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, 4hims.com/radio. That's 4hims.com/radio for your free online visit. FORHIMS.com/RADIO.
We are Lus Hills Harley Davidson, and we buy bikes. Fall is a great time to sell your bike. Use the money for the Christmas fund, maybe a vacation, whatever you want. Lus Hills Harley Davidson will buy your bike. Click LusHillsHD.com for all the details and catch on to the fun fall stuff coming up. Lus Hills Harley Davidson, I-29 and Highway 34, south of Council Bluffs. Your home in the hills. Rise up and ride on.
Dear gas prices, go take a hike. Toyota is the #1 retail brand for electrified vehicles for 22 years. The Toyota hybrid lineup brings efficiency with power and savings with style. Not to mention top tech to help keep you connected. Plush premium interiors and the most advanced Toyota safety features. So, now you know who you're talking to. Toyota, the #1 retail brand for electrified vehicles for 22 years, with a hybrid or electric vehicle built for every driver. Seriously, dear gas prices? Do you really think you can stand in our way? Think again. Toyota Hybrids. Find yours at toyota.com. Toyota, let's go places.
Based on manufacturer estimate, CY 2000 through 2021 sales.
See your independently owned Omaha Metro Toyota dealers. Village Point Toyota of Omaha, Baxter Toyota of La Vista, or Corwin Toyota of Bellevue.
1620 The Zone.
All right, let's welcome in from KETV, Andy Kennedy, who is going to be the new morning show host as John Oakey retired. Hey, isn't that what sports guys do? They move to the mornings?
Well, not this guy. I struggle to get up to send the kids off to school. I'm hitting at about 50% clip. So yeah, it's tough. I don't know how Oakey did it all these years. His alarm was set for 2 a.m. every day.
I know, and you know that he has not gotten up before, 8, 9? Well, no, your body has to adjust. So he was probably still waking up. He just wasn't physically getting out of bed.
Absolutely. Because you get in that routine and you get up and you're like, oh, that's right, I retired. So yeah, I saw him. It was funny. We walked into the newsroom on Friday and we flew to Chicago and drove from Midway to get to Purdue. And John looked at me and was like, oh, you shouldn't have. You didn't have to come all the way in. I said, John, of course. I wouldn't miss your last day for the world. And he goes, what time's your flight? And I was like, yeah, it's
Have you ever had to anchor the news?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I've had to do that a few times in my career. Not in Omaha. Not yet. Knock on wood.
Okay.
In fact, a weird side story, in Milwaukee, where I was for 11 years prior to coming to Omaha, they experimented with having me do like morning sports / entertainment for a while. It was a weird, but I still had to cover games. So there'd be Fridays where I'd have to get up, do the morning show, go cover a game at Camp Randall or Lambeau, and then try to get back and do the morning show the next day. It was a struggle. That schedule was brutal.
Hey, well,
that didn't last long.
Hey, while there's a bye week, and we'll get to Nebraska football, we are in a volleyball / basketball town. Your reaction, not only to Creighton being preseason 9, favored in the Big East, but the fact that the expectations that have never been this high for the program, that it seems like everybody's handling it well. Like you have been waiting. You knew this was coming, and so you just roll with the punches. Hey, yesterday was great. Today was great. We play in 20 days. What's your reaction to the expectations and how the guys that it matters to the most are handling it?
Well, I think that's spot on. And I think the tone is set from the top. I just saw, Rob Anderson does such a great job with Creighton. He's out in New York City with the guys, and he posted just a short video clip of Coach Mack. Greg McDermott being asked for the 100th time in the last 48 hours about expectations. And not only does he handle it like it's the first time he was asked, but Greg also said something that I actually, and I know, but we just don't normally verbalize it, is that, yeah, we're 9th, whatever. They take it because it's what you did last year, who you have coming back, et cetera. But the one thing he did say that opened my eyes was like, nobody knows because of the transfer portal. Like you're throwing darts basically at this point of the year because nobody knows how those pieces that have arrived from different schools will fit at their new respective schools, right? So you say, hey, in Creighton's case, Shireman's coming in. That's great. How is he going to fit with the big picture? He's an outstanding piece, but how does he mesh with the other guys? I think it's going to work out fantastic for the Jays, but that's just an example. Like when you're looking at schools from all across the country where the portal is a reality now, where you not only have, you used to be like you'd have one transfer, maybe 2 transfers. Now you have, new starting 5s that are all transfers at some schools. So I thought that was a pretty interesting take. And I don't get the sense that Creighton feels like they arrived or done anything, and that's a good thing at this point of the season because they're in position to make a historic run here, but nobody's handing anything to those guys.
Andy, kind of flying below the radar a little bit at Creighton is the fact that the Creighton women's basketball team was picked to finish second behind Connecticut off of the strength of their NCAA tournament run last year. Could this be one of the, between the men's and women's basketball teams, could this be kind of a banner year? You throw volleyball in there as well for Creighton athletics?
Oh, without a doubt. And it was a huge weekend for Creighton volleyball, to beat Marquette, which, because they play in the Big East volleyball-wise, in terms of the competition in the Big East, it doesn't really help their RPI during the season. But, the match against Marquette certainly did. And to win that, and then to bounce back a couple days later, and, yeah, they were tested, and I contend that the match Friday takes a lot out of your Sunday, and they were able to withstand DePaul. That was huge for them. And so you put, Creighton volleyball, and they're nationally ranked, and you got everything going on with Creighton men's basketball. And now you throw into the mix, oh, by the way, the Creighton women went the furthest of all programs last year, and they're picked behind some plucky program from the East, from UConn, with a head coach who might do something someday in UConn. And I think Jim Flannery does so much. I think he's underappreciated. I don't think he gets the love nationally that he deserves because the guy is such a rock solid coach and leader of that program. And he's got some pieces this year. And I get the sense too that, you go back 10 years ago in women's basketball, there was such a separation between the top 6, 7, 8 programs and then the rest of the country. Now I think that is starting to, the separation is starting to shrink. And I think last year showed that, where a team like Creighton could, make a run and get to the Elite Eight. And, obviously they ran out of gas and played a great opponent when they got knocked down and then eventual national champion. But I just think that the disparity between the haves and the have-nots, not even the have-nots, the really great teams to the really good teams, that separation is shrunk considerably. And I think that's good for women's college basketball. And I think Creighton's right in that mix. And depending on how they progress, they could make a run this year, no question.
Hey, we get to hear the sound bites after a game, like Saturday night, where you go, gosh, how is this 43-37? It's only 33-37. What was the general vibe of players after that game when you were interviewing them?
Well, from the media, we were thankful that there was an enclosure at Purdue because in years past, it's been open air. It was like a circus tent that we were in on Saturday, and it was much appreciated. I got the sense, they were frustrated. Yeah, they wanted to win, obviously, but I don't know. I got the sense that there wasn't despair. There wasn't woe is me. There was more of a sense of, man, they played banged up without starters defensively, whatever, and they still could have, and some say should have, won that football game. And you could make the case they had no business being in that game, right? And so I think that's encouragement in terms of, for what I saw from the eye test, these guys are playing their asses off, right? And I don't know if you could say that at all times in recent years. And I think that if you continue to bring that great effort and yeah, you're not going to be perfect, but I left Ross-Ade Stadium, and Tyler White and I were talking, my photographer. Tyler and I, we were like, A, that was a very entertaining game for one, and B, this team is going to be in every game if they play that hard, and I know that their offensive line, it's like it's like the shell game. They're shuffling left and right. Where are they going to wind up when the music stops? But shoot, if they continue to give that effort and play hard for Mickey, that's gonna win them some games here down the stretch.
Andy, what do you what's something you'd like to see Nebraska focus on during the bye week that you think could actually improve or be impacted in that short period of time? I mean, like, obviously offensive line isn't getting fixed in a bye week, but
yeah,
what's something you'd like to see him focus on?
Yeah, that's a good point. My fear going in, and it turned out to be the problem, is the offensive and defensive line, right? I mean, they got beat up front, and you just can't fix that in a week and a half, right? Especially not with Illinois coming to town, who again continues to amaze. I thought the line was going to be over when they met Minnesota, and they just keep doing it. It's just an incredible story in college football this year. I don't know what they can fix other than maybe settling in on positions on the offensive line. If you want to start, if you just have to settle in on your five and go. Their run game was pretty non-existent. When your leading rusher is a guy who had one carry, that something's going on there. And I don't know if you can have that model sustained in terms of big plays to win you games down the stretch, because your defense was just gassed, but that's a great question. I think priority number one is to get healthy, and then number two is figure out that offensive line. And defensively, man, losing your two quarterbacks in the middle and the linebackers, that really hurts. Henrich walked off. I mean, basically had his arms around the shoulders of two guys getting carried off the field right before halftime. It was a really sad sight. He walked right past me. I felt so bad for the kid. He's battled injuries so often during his career. They got to figure out what's going on with that second line on defense, and then then continue to play hard and see what happens. Because the beauty about Mickey, there's no woe. He keeps going back. There's no woe is me. He's next man up, and we'll see what happens against a tough Illinois team. Who would have thought we would be saying that? Bowl eligible Illinois team.
Oh, I know. And November 12th, Purdue and Illinois could be for the Big Ten West title.
The security guard I was talking to kept going, can you believe Purdue and Illinois is going to be the game of the year? I was like, no.
Did you say, in basketball?
Yeah, right?
No.
Is that over at Mackey Arena? Ooh, which has seen better days from the outside. That's age.
Oh, but you know what? Inside, because Omaha played there last year. It's really nice.
Is it?
Yeah, it's really unique.
They need to do something on the outside, because it looks a little rough on the outside, but through the windows it looks beautiful. And I will say real quick, that stadium, we've been to some sleepy Saturdays in West Lafayette. That was not a sleepy Saturday. It was a great crowd. It was a sellout, a legit sellout. It was a fantastic atmosphere. It was really, if you didn't have a horse in the race, it was a great, fun, entertaining football game.
Hey, it did a lot for the train industry, that's for sure.
Yeah, no doubt.
Hey, welcome back. Enjoy a full football Friday in studio.
Yeah, can't wait.
No.
Last week of regular season, guys, and some of the week, half of the field out in Iowa is already in state playoffs, and the small schools, 8-man, 6-man, are already in playoffs in Nebraska.
I know. Hey,
battle up.
Be good. Thanks for your time.
Thanks, fellas.
That's Andy Kendi. That'll do it for us. We're back in tomorrow at 6. Enjoy your banner raising tonight.
I can't wait. I'm excited. I want to see the rings. Be a good time.